The excitement I feel right now, knowing that we're about to talk, or at least I get to know 2 new characters, is so nice. I feel like, Honkai Star Rail, because they have really fantastic characters, like on the baseline, on any like type of like, starting point, you're gonna have like a good time with these characters. Even if it's a bad time sometimes, you know what I mean? Even if it's heartbreaking sometimes, that like the writing's gonna be at the very least great. You know what I mean? It goes from great to superb in this game. And these 2 new characters, Cerydra and Hysilens, while Hysilens was introduced before, I feel like this was like the true introduction to her as well. And it just means we're getting a whole new, like, not cast, but like 2 new members to the cast, which means new excitement, new people to learn about, new personalities to, interact with. There's so many like feelings that comes along with like new characters, and it's really exciting. It's so exciting. By the way, my name is Calvin, also known as Wormer, and this is my first ever playthrough of Honkai Star Rail. And we're here in, she said it wasn't our era, right? And we have to always like, put that into a framing, right? It's like, this is like not just our Amphoreus. This is not just our Aglaya and Tribi. Even though their hearts are the same and their motivations might be the same, this isn't our Aglaya and Tribi. But let's talk to the other characters first, of course. All these names like Dux Fragaris, Dux Brumlamus. I thought that was kindness from mine for a second there. I was like, you didn't finish the job.
Dux Brumalis, our great imperator, found the mastermind and executed him in public. Seeing that scoundrel burn to nothing should deter these miscreants from being so brazen again.
Absolutely crazy. And the thing is, like, yeah, that we said that with when it came to Cerydra, like, they 100% are like selling Cerydra as like no nonsense, right? Cerydra's not holding back at all.
So the great imperator isn't afraid of getting her hands dirty? What a ridiculous display.
So we have different opinions here. Like, he's kind of like saying like this is a good thing, and she's kind of like this is ridiculous.
What do you know? No matter what sins the people commit, they are still the Imperator's people,
Whoa.
and it's only right that they be judged by the Imperator's own hand.
That can be a bit tricky though, right? Because here's the thing, while like as you guys know, like I can get motivated by anyone like talking about like going against gods and things like this as well. Like it can definitely like make me feel motivated. I think also at the same time too, this type of language of you are the people of the Imperator, right? This like is never totally okay with me. Because I truly believe that, like, you serve the people don't serve you, right? That's how any leadership should be. And to me, it's like one of those things where this type of thought process can be very blinding, because then you start to, like, excuse anything that could happen. And again, we don't know the Imperator, and, like, we don't know all the context of absolutely everything, and we don't know the personality fully. We just know, like, the baseline of, like, who they are right now. But this type of language always like is very dangerous to me, because like it sets up the idea of like this is them lifting up the rug already to sweep stuff under it. It's like the rug isn't ready to be. There's no dirt to sweep in yet, but like it's like they're already lifting the rug, waiting for the dirt to be swept under it. If you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
Distinguished trespassing guests.
I'm not judging Cerydra or Hysilens. In fact, I like them a lot so far, but it's more of a case of just like the language that they use. It's like. I never like when people say like this is now you could say like my people is like also it can be used in a different context of like I will work for you. You are my people. You know what I mean? I feel like that's obviously can be very inspiring, but I just mean in kind of like in this context it feels as kind of like well they're her people. Are we trespassers or guests?
Seneca, the Dux Brumalis. Greetings.
Greetings.
This Dux Brumalis doesn't seem to like the Imperator very much, but she holds a high rank. As for this Dux Frigoris, his way of speaking seems rather unusual too.
Cyrene is doing my job here. she's stopping to yap. Oh, that sounds very insulting. I mean, I don't mean it in a bad way. I just thought it was funny that like it feels like she's doing a let's play herself. She's like, well, look, it seems like these guys are gonna do this. I want to listen to everything Cyrene is saying.
Let me see what I can get out of them.
100%.
I'm Cyrene of Ida Cilicii. This is the Deliverer Beyond the Sky. We're new here and wanted to ask you, does this city host any other visitors from beyond the sky?
Great question, right?
We're looking for our dear companions.
Because this could also, at the very least, it gives us a, like it does 2 things for me. It's like it's also finding out there is anyone from beyond the sky, but then also finds out that people know about the stuff from beyond the sky.
Drop the charade. But yes, There is someone in this city who is all too familiar with the world beyond the sky.
Who's that someone?
Silence. The Imperator ordered us to keep that lord's whereabouts a secret.
He is like 100% on board for like, don't say anything about my boss. Which honestly, like, you know, after the gush section I had about like about Cerydra, like I can't say much. You know what I mean?
Enough, you pathetic lapdog.
You talking to me?
Do you need to beg for permission from that cursed Imperator even just to bark?
This is such an interesting dynamic, right? The idea of like, you know, calling him out for the idea of like, hey, you seem to like hang everything on this leader, which again, as I said, is not always the healthiest way to, even like with the best leaders, even with like the best politicians, leaders, kings, whatever, it doesn't matter. You have to still like make sure that you are like treating them as like what they are, which is like someone to serve you, you know? You know, as soon as it's like I serve, like that's the type of monarchy I'm never like you, John, and that's the type of like leadership I'm not you, John. As soon as it's like, oh, I'm serving my leader, nah, you know?
Someone who is all too familiar with the world beyond the sky and is referred to as that lord. Could it be?
I'm thinking they called Finon Lord Finon, but it could be someone different, right?
Looks like things are getting heated.
Oh Jesus! Look,
Let's get out
put
of
down
here.
the swords. And I want to make it clear here when I'm saying this. I'm not souring on Cerydra and Hysilens, okay? I'm not doing that whatsoever. I'm just saying that, like, you know, I think we have to look at everything with, like, a nuance, right? And while I think that, as I said, I got inspired by the, you know, the speech that she made in that animation of that drawing, and while I totally, like, feel like that she's an amazing character, I also will, like, hold room for the idea that, like, someone could be following her too deeply. And if you are a follower of anybody, you should always leave room for suspicion or to doubt. Always, you know? Always. It's just healthy.
How are we supposed to talk to the heroes of deliverance? What if they're really intimidating?
Love your hair.
Virginia, don't be so nervous. Once they hear your poetry, heroes,
Oh my God.
you're already here.
Say your poetry. I want to hear your poetry now. That's so sweet.
Greetings. I am Apollonius, the Dux Helcolithus, one of the 5 sages of the Grove of Epiphany, advisor to the Flame Chase army. This is Virginia of Castrum Kremnos, the Dux Carminum and imperial scribe of the great Imperator.
Hello. I'm Virginia. I compose poetry.
That's totally you don't have to worry about messing up words here. She seems so nervous. This gal's very sweet.
I'm Serene from ID Silicii. This is the Deliverer. Nice to meet you both.
They're not as frightening as the rumors claimed.
Not at all.
This is our first time in the Imperator's realm. Okhema is even more magnificent than we imagined. If you all weren't here to look after us, we'd be completely lost and confused.
Cyrene could be like a diplomat herself.
The Okhema you imagined is long gone. Under the Imperator, this city has been reborn as the capital of the world.
What a way to phrase it, right?
Bask in her free-spirited winds. For anyone who fulfills their duties to the Imperator, these winds shall forever remain at their service.
But what if...
Those who are loyal do not need to consider the consequences of betrayal. But if you're curious,
Interesting.
why not head to the lake and take a look?
So what happened here was, they're saying whoever fills the duties, these winds shall remain. So it's like what? So Cyrene was kind of like, what happens if you don't? You know. So you have to look at the consequences of betrayal.
Those who lie at the bottom
Oh.
of the lake are the best example of what happens when you disobey the Imperator.
Okay. Again, showing that Cerydra is not playing around in the least. No problem executing people, killing people, burning people alive. Yeah.
The elders of this cycle were all... Looks like that priest who was sentenced to death wasn't an isolated case.
Here's the thing. Again, I know people at this point you have to judge a little bit, right? What I'm about to say is, right, and please listen to all of what I'm about to say, okay? Because this is gonna get tricky when like a bunch of bodies are lying at the bottom of a lake. If Finon, you know, I said this last episode, so I'll just repeat what I said. But like, if Finon killed Kindness right in front of us, you guys know I would have cheered, you know. So I can't be hypocritical and be like, oh, Cerydra, you killed Kindness. What the hell? I can't do that, right? But talking about this body at the lake thing, right? I know the Council of Elders was evil, right? And I think they ranged from annoying to evil, right? I don't think all of them were evil. I don't think all of them were doing, like, absolutely terrible things. I think some of them were just, like, being, like, swayed by kindness, right? You can't judge a whole group based on, like, one person. You can sometimes, though. That's a bad take. I just said. You can sometimes, because if the whole group is like, we're gonna kill all the people, and then like one person's like, but I'm just a good person in the kill all people group. It's like, no, you're in the kill all people group. Like you know what I mean? It's like, but I'm the good guy. It's like, no, you are in the group. You know, unless they're like forced to be in the group. But what I'm saying is that like they're not shying away from showing that Cerydra will punish people if needs be. They're not shying away from Cerydra wanting to hurt people that maybe go against what she's saying. And they're not shying away from the idea of like a punishment being so open to the point that people are just kind of like, yeah, but that's how it goes, you know? It's showcased a lot here that the people's smiles are talking about the bodies of people at the lake. Because here's the thing, even if like, again, kindness deserves to die. I'm just going to say it. F kindness. I do not care about kindness. I do not give a damn. I do not care. I don't care. But hearing about bodies at the end of a lake, right? If that doesn't make you kind of like squirm a little bit for a second, it's worrying, right? Because even if like they're all bad people, right? We don't know them individually. Even if they're all bad people, if it doesn't make you go, ugh, just for a split second at least, you know? So I think it's like totally fair to be like, I really like Cerydra's character. I really like Hysilens' character. I think Cerydra and Hysilens are so freaking cool. I love the dynamic of their you know, the Knights Commander with like the Queen type of character as well. I think she's such an interesting character, and kindness had it coming, and all this stuff, right? But I think, as I said, we're gonna hold room in our heart for suspicion. We're gonna hold room in our heart to judge, and. Because again, it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, kill kindness, whatever, you know. Again, as I said, not whatever, you know what I mean. Like a dead body's always gonna make you go like, whoa. But as I said, it'd be a last episode and this episode. It'd be hypocritical of me to judge her for killing kindness, while I would have supported Fina doing it and did support Fina doing it. I think I was the first person to shout, "Let's get her." But obviously, like with the Council of Elders stuff, it's like. I do think that a lot of them were evil. I agree. I do think a lot of them were really evil, like what they were doing with like, and I know it's different timelines and different whatever, but I think that like, you know, if group is a lot of things Amphoreus were like, groups were like evil from the beginning, not evil, but like they were rotten from the core from the beginning. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, we're going to hold room to spare our judgment on everything, but also hold room to judge if needs be as well, if that makes sense. F kindness.
Aggie, you're still so listless today.
Like, what I'm saying is, it's not good. It's not good at all. By the way, her saying Aggie. Me trying to say what I'm trying to say, but like my heart is melting. It's not good ever to like have a world where you can't speak up about your opinions. But obviously some opinions are dirt. But like, it's also a case here where it's like, it's not always good to have, like on the baseline, I'm trying to say this properly. Even if like, yeah, that's what I was saying. Even if like all these characters were absolutely awful people, it should shake you a little bit. You know what I mean? Now, depending on what they did, but like it should shake you a little bit, being like, but they're all at the bottom of the lake, you know? So, yeah, that's what we're gonna do going forward. We will hold room for judgment and for love, right? For everything.
Did you have trouble sleeping again?
Man, these two I wish we could talk to them as the characters we knew, you know? It's never gonna be exactly the same, but that's the point, isn't it?
Yes.
What was that? You okay?
We know. The Titan's prophecy haunts you. If you want, you can talk to us, just like when you were young.
Oh my god, the fact that Triby knew when she was young as well. Which again, we know this, but yeah.
No matter what, we'll always remain by your side.
So sweet. So sweet. And she did remain by her side for a very, very long time.
I know. I also understand that fate cannot be changed. It is not the future that I worry about.
It's so funny, like, the fate cannot be changed when, like, so much of Amphoreus is like, oh, I didn't mean to press that. So much of Amphoreus is not even, like, it's more of, an experiment, right? So, like, the idea of them talking about spiritual fate and the idea of fate and all this stuff, too, it's like, it always, like, makes you feel a bit weird. And also, at the same time, too, having, like, the defier of fate right in front of them now, still.
I spent all last night weaving clothes and linen for the refugees.
Oh, Glaya.
The Chrysos war is born of injustice and has shattered their dignity. They deserve at least some basic decency.
I love this. I absolutely love this. Because, again, that's the thing. It's like Aglaya, this is why she's always been a really good person, you know? She's thinking about the people that are truly affected when it comes to any war, which is the common person, which is the person that doesn't have something to defend themselves. And people can come up with any reason why they want, where, like, people who, like, are just not even in a war deserve to get absolutely killed, you know? It's like, or not even a war, but it's like, you see now, like, even, like, when people will invade another country or something, and then all of a sudden, like, everyone has to justify by being like, well, you know, this and that. It's like, no, like, you are killing innocent people, you know?
If Amphoreus one day abandons this, then all of us, commoners, Chrysos heirs, titans, become no better than beasts.
You know what's so interesting about Aglaya here? Even though there's a lot of horrible stuff happening, do you guys notice in her voice acting? And we're about to praise another voice actor here. A little bit of a lightness to it, right? It's not as beaten down, it feels like.
Oh, we have guests. Welcome. I am Aglaya, the Gold Weaver.
I know who you are. You know what I mean? Just like a little bit more of a bright-eyedness. The voice actors in Honkai Star Rail are incredible. Like, they really took on the task of, like, different timelines and ran with it. Or different eras.
These rags on you are not worthy of the title of Deliverer.
Rags!
I must prepare some proper attire for you.
Again, look, she's like so, you know, and it is, I know that she is younger here. She is more, like, bright-eyed, of course. It's been a while, Aglaya. Nice to meet you for the first time. We have to say this, don't we? This would be funnier. I think this would be a Stell thing to say. And Stell's outfit's lovely.
What is the matter? Your gaze seems somewhat unsure. Does your Aglaya differ so
this is
much
cool.
from me?
Right? And this is, I guess this makes sense that, like, a Chrysos heir would know this as well. Like, but, like, you know, just kind of being like, yeah, like, you know, you did have a different Aglaya, right? But it's, like, a little bit different from me.
Greetings, deliverer from beyond
Oh
the
my god, her
sky.
voice.
We are Tribi of Yanisopolis. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Tribi.
Although, introductions are probably unnecessary. We know you've witnessed the future of the Flame
There we go.
Chase journey even more clearly than we have.
Very, very, very cool that, like, again, and this doesn't surprise me, because, again, if the other Chrysos heirs, in this sense, which I'm right in saying the Chrysos heirs are like Hysilens, right, and Cerydra? Hysilens might not be, but Cerydra I think is. Like, if they know about the future of the Flame Chase journey and our journey that we've been on and have, like, more awareness, like, I think it makes sense that, like, someone like Tribi, who literally was standing there when all this was happening, first of all, want to make that clear, I almost forgot about that. She was standing there when all this was happening. She would have related to Aglaya as well.
Witness the future of the Flame Chase journey? The prophecy also told you about that?
Prophecy's crazy all of a sudden.
Indeed. Orynyx reshaped Amphoreus through the prophecy. Although, regarding the Deliverer, there were not many details beyond your appearance and the time of your arrival.
Yeah, like, that's still huge.
So, please, don't worry. Feel free to relax and relax some more.
Oh, Tribi. Orynyx's prophecy wasn't a Kepeli. Wait.
It was Orynyx who told mankind that the Deliverer from beyond the sky would descend upon Amphoreus.
Again, I understand why Stell would think that Lygus is injecting some stuff into the story, because things are obviously different.
More crucially, they revealed a future entirely different from the Aranova. Though we still must challenge the gods, in the Time Titan's prophecy, this path leads not to a new world, but to the true starry skies.
So now, the prophecy, we already got a hint of this when we were talking about the idea of someone from beyond the sky. So I guess the prophecy now is the idea of, like, getting outside of Amphoreus or getting to the true world?
This is also what the Great Imperator has been striving for
Oh, yeah?
all her life. Your arrival further confirms everything.
So she's been working to get outside of this world here. That does worry me, only because, like, that's technically, like, what Lygus wants as well, but for more like sinister means, right? The idea of like the black tide going beyond the sky.
This can't be real.
Very weird. It's very weird.
Even you find this surprising? Fate really is unpredictable.
Perhaps the upcoming meeting will hold even more surprises.
I bet at this stage. Man, it's wild, right? There's Hysilens over there looking all cool. It's interesting to me that like so much is like shifting, right? So much is shifting, and like the idea of the prophecy is so different. Like in this last cycle, it's more about escaping from Amphoreus itself and seeing the true starry sky rather than, you know, the rebirth of the Titans and the cycle beginning again, and you know, Finon being the last one to like actually witness this, right? It's so interesting.
The one from beyond the sky has arrived, and destiny continues to be fulfilled. The trial of romance is also close at hand.
Trial of romance, that's like literally what I call trying not to talk about Don Hong for 5 minutes challenge.
Please don't worry. We'll sing you a lullaby. Little Aggie, be a good girl and open your heart.
I outgrew nursery rhymes long ago.
That's very
teacher.
sweet. That's very sweet though. Because again, like you can tell in Aglaya's voice now, and here's the thing, she's always been like, you know, amazing, right? We love Aglaya. But she's very like youthful, right? Like she has a very like upbeat presence. So I think it's honestly like very like everything feels different, of course, but I also again I love that like the Aglaya's voice actor there, like, you know, doing what I always praise Finon for as well, which is this is my character, but this is them who hasn't seen as much terrifying stuff. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's like you can hear it in their voice, you know? But yeah, man, this is so different. So different. And then we get to talk to the coolest character in the world. Put your hands on your hip, on your left hip if you're the coolest character design ever. Well, it's settled, guys. It's settled. It's settled.
Little fish from beyond the sky.
Little fish.
Did you rest
You look so cool.
The Imperator and the delegates are about to arrive. If you are ready, please follow me to the meeting.
I just heard follow. I'm coming. Oh, lovely. Okay, about your role.
I'm the Knight Commander of Okhema, General of the Flame Chase Army, and the Imperator's servant.
A lot of roles there. A little smirk at the end, too.
But beneath these shiny scales engraved with complicated titles, I am just a swordfish at the Imperator's
Swordfish.
side.
What a way to put it as well, right? Like, and what a way to like use the like play on the word of swordfish and sword, you know? About the Imperator.
As you've witnessed, she is the Empress of Okhema, the one who ended the Chrysos War and the leader of the Chrysos Heirs.
Very cool.
As merely a humble subject, I cannot say more beyond this.
Whatever you want to say. About the Chrysos Heirs here.
The Chrysos Heirs here constitute the elite among the Flame Chase army. Dux Helcolithist Apollonius and Dux Carminin, Virginia, serve as the army's advisor and historian respectfully. One offers advice and counsel to the Imperator, while the other writes verses of her supreme glory.
Interesting. So like that's an actual assigned role as the right, because again, this isn't uncommon in medieval times or in ancient times to have someone that will like document your prowess. A lot of kings and emperors and queens and all this stuff wanted to be remembered, you know?
Dux Frigoris Labienus and Dux Brumalis Seneca are both formidable warriors, clearing the way for the flame chase with steel and storm.
I can tell here, look at these guys.
Dux Fatorum, the holy maiden who interprets the prophecy.
Fatorum?
Only the one named Trebi remains in the city. The Imperator once took them as hostages in order to unify the prophecies of the world, but they are now Okhema's most vital prophets.
So they're no longer technically hostages. They were hostages at first, but now they've become more like prophets here. So it's interesting they say the only one named Trebi remains in the city. So Trian and Trinan are not here?
Dux Goldweaver, Aglaya. Well, she dislikes it when people talk about her behind her back.
I honestly...
You should get to know her in
That fits
person.
Aglaya's personality quite a bit. I'll come back later. Let's go now. Very cool introduction. So, like, she's, like, again, the Knight Commander. You said, very high-ranking soldier. She's the leader of their armies as well. The Imperator is, you know, someone who ended the Chrysos War. She is the Empress of Okhema, and the Chrysos heirs themselves all have their different roles, which again, like, it's not uncommon for any emperor or queen or king or whatever to have a person that documents their prowess and the stuff they've done. This is not even just something that, like up until, like, recent history, there's people who had books written about them that were supervised by those people who were, like, in leadership that would, like, literally be like, oh yeah, and I did this and I did that as well. Because a lot of times, like, when it comes to, like, world leaders, they can't help but want to be remembered. You know what I mean? For better or for worse, you know?
Then come. The Imperator reserved seats for you.
Oh, nice.
I'm starting to feel a bit nervous about the meeting. Since Cerydra is presiding over the meeting, it'll be a good opportunity to learn about the law's inclinations in the current era. Let's keep our ears open, okay?
Very cool. I'm excited. Oh my god, this is like traumatic flashbacks to this circle. At least there's no elders.
Good sir from Paphos, what do you think the Imperator is planning calling this meeting so early? My homeland can't endure anymore.
So there's different problems for different lands? I'm like, this is a serious moment, and like, I'm sorry, but like, I just wanted to praise Hysilens' boots.
Who knows? First, she wants to hunt titans. Now she says there are even greater calamities.
Oh god.
Her madness is the greatest calamity.
So there's people who doubt her, of course.
Exactly. Chrysos heirs, deliverers. What about us ordinary folk? How much are we worth in her eyes?
So like the people who are like on the bottom rungs are kind of like, which I would never like, you know, rank people like that, but I'm saying like in terms of like money, society, classes or whatever, even though, you know, class systems are dumb, they're feeling like they're not cared for.
Things feel pretty tense here. The history books said that the Imperator aimed 3 cannons at Dawncloud to make all the delegates obey her. Will history repeat itself in this cycle?
Interesting. That again, so it does seem like, again, 100%, even though, again, as we said, she's cool, right? We love the character and stuff like this too. As you said, we're leaving so much room open to be like, that's a bit rough. You know what I mean?
Yes. Similar acts have occurred, and not just once. However, whether history will repeat itself, you'll soon see. Those are the 2 spots reserved for you. Please take your seats.
What's that again? Why aren't we
That's
starting?
what they were talking about before.
What is
We stopped. So it turns out.
There she is, the queen.
Ladies and gentlemen, silence, please. The Imperator has arrived
Oh my
before
God.
her faithful council, and the Alliance meeting is about to
Do you guys
begin.
feel that? Hysilens did a good job of like presenting this in a very like serious manner. I feel the weight.
All right. In the names of Talantin and Kefali, the Okhema Alliance swears upon the gods.
Cease the pageantry. I pray not to the vanquished.
Not to the dead.
What?
Kefali, of course, needs no further explanation. As for the subjugation of the law, at the entry hour 2 days past, a scout should have brought the news
Oh,
to
that
all
law
of
is
you.
gone. So that's what Cerydra is doing. She's like, hey, like I don't pray to these dead titans.
Unfortunately, guards found his corpse among the rocks not far from the city.
Jesus.
Moreover, the poor soul was buried with a Paphos curved blade. It pains me to imagine what agonies
Wait,
this
so-
loyal warrior endured before his death.
So hold on a second. They're saying Kepler needs no further explanation. As to subjugation law, they found law like the Titan's corpse.
Delegate from Paphos, do you have any insight?
Wait, so does that mean they haven't taken the core flame? No, sorry. The I'm so It's not a laughing matter, but I was like, wait, they're talking about the scout. Not like someone killing a titan with a curved blade. Jesus, Kyle. That would have been one misunderstanding that would not have even like fit for any part of the rest of the video.
I know nothing of this.
So there's supposed to be a messenger to tell them about the subjugation of law, but they died.
The evidence is irrefutable, so there is no need to waste your breath. However, let us set this trial aside for the time being.
She's like, I have all the evidence. It does not matter. She's like, I love that's her answer. It's like, hey, like it's okay. The evidence is there. So,
Witness, even within the most sacred and dignified council, there were those among us who wished to draw their blades, brazenly challenging the Alliance, seeking to shatter our hard-earned peace and unity.
This is obviously the end of the Chrysos War. This idea of like a united front, I guess.
Fortunately, I uncovered this plot. Now, to protect this beautiful city and her people, the Imperator's legions are ready.
What do you mean?
They will escort each of you to the Temple of the Three Fates, where you will receive the highest level of protection the Alliance can offer.
What does that mean?
Then, the Legion's warriors will join me in embarking on the campaign against Fagusa.
Fagusa? What? The Ocean Titan?
This is clearly a trap.
What the hell is happening?
Imperator, did you summon us here just to trample on the dignity of your allies?
This is so wait, so she's like saying she's talking about obviously the killing of the scout. So even amongst this council, people will like draw their blades to shatter this alliance that they have after the Chrysos War. And then she's saying, I'm escorting all these people to the temple to give the highest protection. And then we're going to go against Fagusa. Are the representatives thinking this is a trap? Because they're like, you want us out of the way. Is that what she's trying to do here? Because this is like very... I don't know, man. This is crazy.
Things are starting to get pretty intense.
Because the way she said protect, it does sound like she's just trying to keep them out of the way. Or I thought like the first thing she was going to do was just execute them when they got there.
Comrades, you've all seen her true face now. According to the ancient laws of Okhema, only with the consent of 2/3 of the elders can the legions carry out the commander's orders.
I don't think that's going to work with Cerydra for some reason. I think playing by the rules is not going to work.
The ancient laws. Didn't you destroy them long ago?
Oh my God.
You defected during the first siege of Okhema, voted unanimously in favor of the Council of Elders restructuring, and just yesterday, you desecrated them with a blood-stained blade.
What? Wait. So she's saying that, like, again, she says that, that when you defected and then killed all the elders, he was maybe one of the people that was responsible for, like, the desecration of the elders? It's like all this defection they had?
The decaying old laws fell with Talanton and are no longer deserving of respect. But if you still insist on proclaiming yourselves defenders of the law, then be silent and
it's
offer
core flame.
up the highest respect to this core flame in my hand.
So yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding everything here. She's like, by the way, like you know, she's making them submit to her in the sense too. She's saying they've all seen the true face, right? And he's trying to like bring in these laws, like you have to like the 2/3 of the elders can legions carry commanders over, so you have to have consent of the 2/3. And she's like, I don't believe in ancient laws anymore, right? And you don't believe, you destroyed them when you defected from you defected in the siege of Okhema, voted for the councils, and then you desecrated them with the blood. That sounds like to me like he sided with the elders and then killed them afterwards. And she's saying, like, you're hypocritical. You're not a defender of the law. Oh my freaking god. What the hell?
That really is the core flame of law in her hand.
Since there are no objections, then the original agenda of this meeting, the campaign against Fagusa, is hereby passed.
Oh my god. Just like that. So again, it is very much like Empress. It's not about voting. It's not about democracy. It is very much just like, we're doing this.
The Flame Chase army's hunt for the Ocean Titan begins today. In order to prepare for war, all allied city-states must surrender command of their militaries and pay all war taxes by the end of the month of Evernight.
Not uncommon in, like, ancient battles, medieval. I always go medieval because I love medieval history, but medieval battles for neighboring lords or kingdoms under one king or empress or whatever to do this, to pay money, to give soldiers, to give men, to give women, to give anything that they needed in terms of, like, you know, workers, all the stuff they needed, like a because this isn't like a totally uncommon thing throughout history either. The idea of, like, you know, an empress or a king or an emperor or a queen, basically, like, you know, proclaiming a war and then telling every neighboring, you know, lordship or land to be like, yeah, get ready, like you're joining this war. Like, command of their militaries means, like, hey, you're joining with us. And the way they made it sound like, it's say, like, hey, this is an alliance, right? When it sounds more just like it's an alliance that serves me, right? That's what it is in a lot of ways.
At this moment, I would also like to introduce to everyone the newest honored guest to join our alliance. The Deliverer, revealed in the Prophecy of Time, has descended from beyond the sky. With her aid, we shall shatter the chalice of plenty.
Oh my god. And it's so interesting as well, like, just like how we just been, you know, dragged into this. Because again, I know that it's one of those things where, like, we're here for a reason, or we're here to get Cerydra on our side in some ways, right? It's so interesting, like, you know, like we're standing in the crowd here, and Cerydra's just saying, hey, this is that person that's gonna help us, you know? She's not even thinking, oh, will they agree? She's not even thinking, will they do something for me? You know what I mean? She's saying, this is the person that's going to help us to shatter the chalice of plenty. And I think it's also probably like the idea of the way she killed Kindness, right? I've done something for you.
And return Fagusa's core flame to the holy city.
Oh my god, the raising of the voice as well. There's not cheers here, there's worry. Because they're about to be put into, like, a quote-unquote protection.
Absurd. Simply absurd. A deliverer from beyond the sky. This is just like that prophecy about slaying gods. It's a lie you've used to grow your power.
You're dead. You're gone. You're gone at this stage. Because here's the thing: it's like this is what they, like the other guy said as well. It's like, what? Who do you think you are? The deliverer from beyond? They do not believe. It's almost like you're just going along with it for her. But it's like, hey, just like your prophecy about slaying the gods. I love a good prophecy about slaying the gods, right? It'll make that clear. But, like, they just truly don't believe that there is a world beyond this world. And they think that's just her trying to, like, you know, scare people, maybe.
Ladon has already sacrificed countless soldiers. And now you want me to send even more of my brothers and sisters to be used and discarded by a tyrant.
Oh, my god. And again, you understand the frustrations of this, not sending your people to die for a war where they most likely will die. We've seen what happens when non-Chrysos heirs go up against a Titan. We've seen the powers that they hold, you know? Well, not like... Oh god, that laugh kind of made me a bit nervous there. Maybe a bit nervous. But you know what I mean? It's not just like going up against a Titan. We know that, like, you know, it's... what happens in our timeline when common people go up against a superpower.
Are there any other objections?
Oh my god, look at the stone face of Hysilens as well. There's so much tension here, man. I'm so nervous. There's so much tension.
Then I bid you all farewell. Meeting adjourned.
Okay, so she didn't kill him. Well, I guess because she's already sending them all into quote-unquote protection.
Deliverer, please wait.
Okay.
I still have important matters to discuss with the two of you.
Yes, my liege. So my understanding of this, right, is obviously after the Chrysos War, there was like a united front in Okhema where like Okhema and all the neighboring places like Ladon and all these places became like an alliance under Cerydra. But it's less of an alliance and more of like a, you are all my army, right? You are all my soldiers. So it is an alliance, but it's an alliance under one rule. You know, which isn't really alliance, it's more like a company at that stage. But she's basically saying that now that we have gotten the law core flame, we're going after Fagusa next. And her prophecies are related to the idea of like what's beyond the sky here, right? Which a lot of people don't believe, and killing the Titans, which a lot of people don't believe in either, or slaying the gods in some ways, right? But it seems like what set her off in a way, and maybe I'm misreading this, and you guys can correct me on that as well. But like what seems to set her off in the way was like the killing of the scout. Because that probably says that there's someone amongst this group as well that is going against her. So she has done this thing where she has like sent them all into this place where they will all be quote unquote protected. But the idea of the protection sounds like she's trying to get them out of the way. She's trying to get these people who have a lot of influence out of the way. And she's also then, you know, if without their leaders like openly like leading them, it's very easy to like, you know, get their army and have them support you, which again isn't an uncommon thing throughout history for emperors and empresses and queens and kings to do, is the idea of like, we're going to war, give me your army, give me your soldiers. You can, and again, it's one of those things where I like, you can reject it. You can say, no, I'm not giving you my soldiers, my liege, my, you know, my lady, my lord. But what tends to happen then is that like you become like a lesser part of that alliance and less protected, you know? That's what it screams to me anyway, though. It feels like less of an alliance and more of like, we're allied, but allied under me. It's my leadership. I'm interested to see what she's going to say here as well. She just like proclaimed us to be a part of this as well, by the way. She's like, yeah, this is the one that's going to kill Fagusa, you know? Or help us kill Fagusa. And I think the killing of Kindness like is probably like her being like, yeah, I did something for you, didn't I? You know? This is her peace offering.
I apologize for that farce of a meeting.
A farce, you say?
It must be tiring dealing with so many people every day, Great Imperator.
Mm-hmm.
Tiring? You're mistaken.
I got the little laugh.
Moving chess pieces, placing wagers. This game of strategy adds a dash of color to our heavy fates. Much like how rule and conquest are always accompanied by sacrifice.
Is the war with the Titans also part of that sacrifice?
Well, if people are dying during that, she probably sees it that way too, right? The idea of like everything comes with sacrifice.
After I glimpse the secrets of this world. No, the secrets beyond the sky.
Whoa.
The divine authority of Amphoreus no longer held any significance.
So yeah, she doesn't see them as anything special. It's like I know like the eons and the god and like the world beyond our world.
Let me ask you, Deliverer. Is it true that beyond Amphoreus' sky, there are magnificent deities called eons?
We know she knows about the eons, right? Eons exist, that's a fact. Their powers are 1,000 times greater than the Titans. Where do you hear this from? I think that, like, you know, just saying this outright is just the right way to go about it. 100%.
The word fact has never been so intoxicating.
Yeah? Closing your eyes?
Then, please tell me more. How will you use this great power to guide the people?
Because we've been gazed upon by so many gods at this point.
In the future you envision, where will our flame-chased journey lead?
Do we be honest about this too? Protect the core flames and the law. Only then can Amphoreus break free from destruction. That is true. If we need the law core flame and the core flames themselves to rewrite the code here for Amphoreus.
Oh? What you require now is the power of law?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Exactly. Just as the prophecy foretold, she is your deliverer from beyond the sky. And she also has reliable allies.
Honestly, fantastic, right? Cyrene is so good at just jumping into the world itself, and like, while it can be definitely confusing and different, what she's doing is like saying, like, you know, let's use like all the what they're already telling us about, like the deliver from beyond the sky, instead of just being like, wait, Stell, you're the deliverer? It's like, no, they see us as like a part of the prophecy. Utilize that.
If they can intervene in Amphoreus' laws, we may have a chance to alter this world's impending fate and reverse its destined end.
Oh my god, a maniacal laugh?
Very good, Deliverer. You have courage to say such presumptuous things.
Presumptuous?
Even knowing that the inheritor of the law stands before you.
You do definitely stand before me.
You mean...
In the past, anyone who dared to covet the Imperator's divine authority would have met a gruesome end.
Makes sense.
But now we can see beyond this dying world. Our journey should no longer be confined below this stubborn sky.
I actually love this in a way too, because like what a way to like, you know, like to have a character that would be so willing to kind of like listen and hear us out is because like again, it would make perfect sense. If you knew there was a world beyond your own world, right? If like all of a sudden like everything changes in your mind. If you knew there was gods beyond your own gods, right? Let's say if you like anything, even in our world, let's say we worship God, right? And then we found out there's a super god. All of a sudden, like, those people that worship God are gonna be like, wait, what about super God? You know what I mean? Like, I kind of want to worship super God. And in a way, it's not just about worship. It's like it's about ideas. It's about a new horizon. If you figure out that there's like, you know, a whole different situation beyond your own situation, you want to explore that. And all of a sudden, the situations in your own world become like less. You go from being a Cerydra goes from being a whale in a teardrop to being a fish in a gigantic lake, right? And that would make you want to explore that lake so you can know more about the lake. As soon as this world opens up, it feels very different, right? As soon as you realize about this world, it becomes very different. You now have the confined space of Amphoreus. Now your life and your world feels like, oh wait, there's actually much more of a space that I can check out here.
Alas, that fickle ocean titan has obstructed the spirit water leading to the vortex of Genesis,
really?
hindering my ascension. If the core flame of law cannot be returned, your path to deliverance will never be realized.
She's very smart. She's very smart.
Now that things have come to this, we must resume our once stagnant journey and force the waves that block our way to recede.
She is basically telling us, get rid of Fagusa, and then we can figure out your prophecy.
So, you agreed to cooperate with us?
I think there's terms here for sure.
Cooperate? Forgive me, but I never cooperate with anyone.
The word alliance means nothing.
Though I will permit you to join me as subjects. And together, we will forge the most perfect law.
It's very like immoral of me in a way to like this, because again, you guys know that like I'm not a huge fan of like monarchies, and you guys know this, right? But there's something so funny about like this character just being like, it's like, we're teammates? No. You can be my subjects, you know? It's like, sure, why not? Oh?
This is the Flame Chase medallion.
Whoa.
A symbol of the Flame Chase army.
So cool.
Every noble in Okhema carries one. This medallion represents the will of the Imperator herself, and you may act freely within the city with it.
That's so cool.
Before we embark on the crusade against the Ocean Titan, you should rest in Okhema for a time.
Be wary of someone named Lygus. Oh, very cool.
Oh? Your advice is acknowledged.
That's the softest tone I've ever heard in her voice so far.
From this moment on, prove yourself through your actions. As long as no boundaries are crossed, I fully respect the choices of my subjects.
As long as no boundaries are crossed.
May your journey reach that sky full of stars, Great Imperator.
Your attendant certainly knows how to curry favor.
She's great, isn't she? She's fantastic.
Go now. Take a bath first. You two reek of seawater.
Thank you, my queen. Thank you. Huh? What are you loading? Oh. Her design is so cool, isn't it? Before we go into whatever this is, by the way, I want to say that I don't want to just like mark her as like a tyrant fully without knowing every single thing that's going on here. I do think that like they're trying to like sell the idea that she's like, I'm the queen, you guys are my subjects. Like, and then she also like hints at this idea of like, but we can't. But like, I won't ever punish someone if they don't like go outside the lines. When in reality, I think that she probably might be a little more trigger happy than we think. But then again, that guy did like talk back to her and she did nothing. So I do want to learn more about her like personality. But like right now, I get the vibes of a character that knows the word alliance, knows the word help, knows the word like punishment, but doesn't always use them. Uses them in a way that makes herself sound very good. You know what I mean? But isn't always like used in what we would think is the proper context. If you get what I'm saying, like you're using the word alliance for actually just all your subjects. It's like you're all my subjects. Using the word punishment for people that like do something wrong, when in reality she can just punish people for doing something that's against her. Misusing words for her favor. Again, I think that there is like an element of any leader, and we talked about this with Aglaia when we like not justify, because I wouldn't justify her executing our characters, but when we talked about like the reasoning behind why she might want to do something like this. So I think it's only fair that we talk about it in the same context here. Even if we don't agree with it, right? Just like we didn't agree with the Aglaia execution, there is elements to every single leader where my judgment of them, does this make sense? Maybe this makes sense. My judgment of them gets to a point where I'm like, it's not that I agree with them executing people. It's that we have to accept that that's sometimes a part of like history. Does that make sense? Where it's like, while like I can still be like, that's awful, and this is awful, and this part's awful, we also have to accept that it's like, no, that's a part of like life sometimes. It's not a great part of life all the time, but we have to accept that's like part of a story. It's like judging a I don't know, like a captain of the Knights Command here, like Hysilens, for like killing people that try to like get too close or try to do something to the Cerydra. While we can say, man, that's awful, like who knows what their actual intentions were, we can also then acknowledge, wait, she's not gonna let anyone get close to Cerydra, right? So like there's like this thing where it's like it's logical, but also at the same time, too, it can be something that we're against. So there is a level to that. But obviously, it feels very, to me right now, I don't know, very like, I'm in control, that's it, end of. So obviously, there's that we have to judge as well. I hope it doesn't make it sound like I'm justifying the actions of like any character. I'm just trying to say that like there's going to be levels of understanding and levels of judgment on everything, right? We're going to try to, talk about everything in the best way possible. Because, like, I think that, people could say, well, Calvin, the reason why she, like, sent those guys away is because she truly believes that they were responsible for the killing of her scout. 110%. That is one of those things where I'm saying, like, that would be understandable to punish the person that killed your scout. It's 110%. Logical, understandable. It's not something we have to be like, oh, yeah, get him, but we understand why you would do something like that. But I think at the same time, too, it's also one of those things where we can go like, yeah, that makes sense, but then also judge other actions, right? That's how characters work. There's, like, nuance there, if that makes sense.
Come forth, Theoros.
Huh?
Yes.
No, life was good. Yeah, we had a lot of killings and stuff, but I didn't have to hear Lygus.
Great Imperator.
Oh my god.
Now, perhaps you're willing to hear my counsel.
So he is very involved in this 110%.
Those two arrived just as Orynyx described, and just as you said, they showed a thirst for law.
Stop! This freaking bastard, man. Like, Jesus Christ.
At least this proves that my judgment was right.
No.
Sparing your life was the correct decision.
See, the thing is, I think she's the type of character that's gonna, like, try to find ways to justify her judgment anyway, so, like, of course he's gonna be more likely to be alive if she already spared him once. Kill him!
You've once again confirmed that your wisdom is
no empty
boast.
Life is so good.
Now another choice lies before you. With whom shall you ally to tip the scales of law? Me? Or that deliverer?
Oh, I hate him. I hate him so much. Be smart, Cerydra. He has an evil voice. He enunciates every syllable like it's his last syllable.
Remind me again, Antikytheron. What kind of future do these two paths lead to in your view?
Don't lie now. You have to be neutral, Lygus.
I shall tell you.
In 20 minutes.
You are entitled to know that the deliverer from beyond the sky is not a wholly wicked being.
Not at all!
But from the very start, her stance has been completely at odds with Amphoreus.
We've been more supportive of Amphoreus than you ever will be! Oh my god, is that please be a judgmental look.
Will bury Amphoreus' grand aspirations. This world, which follows the path of destruction, will inevitably stray far from the glory it was meant to enjoy.
We gotta kill him. We gotta kill him. It's interesting because he's not lying. He's lying, but he's not lying to himself. The way he phrases, that's why he's so dangerous, by the way. Him saying that, like, she's not a holy wicked being, but she's against Amphoreus. In his eyes, we are against Amphoreus. The idea of Amphoreus, why Amphoreus is a thing in the first place. So in his eyes, when he's saying we're at odds with Amphoreus, we're trying to save Amphoreus. But to him, he's like, no, they're at odds to what the original intent of Amphoreus is. So while this is technically a lie, it's not a lie in his eyes. He does this a lot, where he's telling the truth from his own perspective, you know? It's very dangerous.
On the path I have revealed to you, the people of Amphoreus will slay their creator in the name of the Imperator and conquer the worlds beyond the sky.
So he's trying to make sure that we don't get our hands on this, and he's trying to make sure that, like, the hunger that Cerydra has for going beyond the sky and slaying these titans as well is fed.
You will command the mighty beast known as Iron Tomb, bringing waves of war and conquest to the universe. Beings across the cosmos will bow before you, offering their allegiance.
He is feeding that, and he knows what he's feeding. He is feeding the idea of her want for conquest, her want for understanding beyond the sky, all the stuff. And even now it's like, you know, you'll be a command of Iron Tomb. You know what I mean? Everyone's gonna offer your allegiance. This kind of like, I mean, we can't lie. She has this like feeling of like, I am the Empress. I am the best. I am the one who rules, right? He's feeding that 100%. Lygus isn't dumb.
So, what's the price?
Everything. Absolutely everything.
The price is insignificant. All that is needed is for you to sacrifice that fragile, incomplete humanity to the destruction.
Wait, what's the incomplete humanity?
As a Chrysos heir of the prophecy, you have already chosen to abandon it.
Wait.
Have you not?
Wait, what is he talking about her? Like, to sacrifice herself?
Off you go, Theoros. I have already made my decision.
Oh my god.
Once I ignite the core flame of law and burn away the old, outdated rules, Amphoreus will embark on a journey across the stars.
We know that she's wanted this. We know she's wanted this, but now the context has changed. Like, I was all for her being like, let's explore the outside world. You know what I mean? I was all for that. I was all for the idea of like them deserving to see what's outside Amphoreus. I believe that 100%. We all believe that. But like now, this phrase 5 minutes ago feels different, right? This phrasing of let's embark on a journey beyond the stars feels different, right? Because 5 minutes ago it was like, yeah, let's go beyond the stars. Why not? I'll show you. Like, you deserve to see it.
The Imperator is quite forceful.
Yes.
She didn't give us any chance to ask questions.
But now that sentence that we just had there as well is now more dangerous because we know of the offer of Iron Tomb. Can I say what's so good about like what Lygus did there, and it's similar to what Cerydra did, but like in different contexts, right? They both fed something in Cerydra. Cyrene fed the part of Cerydra that wants to be loved and wants to be praised and wants to rule, right? But she could see through it 100%, but she just still liked it. She was like, oh, that's kind of nice, you know? Cyrene was definitely trying to like feed the idea of like, you are the Empress. Thank you, my Empress. You know, not trying to like, you know, show that respect that Cerydra clearly like wants and craves. Whereas Lygus was also doing something actually pretty smart as well, where he was feeding this idea of like what Cerydra wants as well, which is to rule, to not only to rule, but then to like go beyond the stars themselves, defy fate and change this world that she's in right now. And I do think while like I don't know Cerydra fully, there is an element to Cerydra where as Cyrene says here that she's so forceful that it does feel like that forcefulness does come from her wanting to be kind of like the ruler, wanting to be the one that rules over everything. I'm not trying to judge her like completely, because again, we might find out later on that like, you know, anything can happen to Honkai Star Rail. She could be like, she could literally betray Lygus. She could do anything. You never know. You never know. So I don't want to judge completely, but based on like her what she's done so far in terms of like her totally saying like to all these people like, your army's mine. They will have to work for me. Resources are mine. Money is mine. It does seem like Lygus knew that he was feeding into that part of her brain, right?
And she's clearly hiding something. What do you think?
Oh, Cyrene, let's try and, yeah, at least she allows us to move around freely. Her bossy way of doing things is hard to stomach. We should consult with the geniuses about the current situation. I don't think this, can we talk to them?
Looks like we're on the same wavelength. The atmosphere in Okhema, it's so unfamiliar. And it's not just the Flame Chase Alliance talking about the world beyond the sky, but the whole city.
Yeah, they all know about this stuff.
We should also discuss our findings with our friends from beyond the sky. Then...
What do you see?
Then... we should go enjoy the renowned bathing culture of the holy city and relax. It's the thing I've been looking forward
Someone's
to
here.
most on this
Someone's
journey.
here. Is it Hysilens? Remain silent.
Work and rest are both important. You see, everyone
Oh no,
agrees,
it's just people listening in.
right?
Man, what? Get the scowls off your faces. Go home, will ya? Jesus.
So someone's watching.
I'm not gonna sell like that.
Can't let our guard down for a second.
You're so correct.
Let's use taking a bath as an excuse to find a quiet corner to update Madame Herta and Screwlum on our progress.
Yes.
We can also check out what's happening in the city. Since the outcome of the meeting was just announced, people must be gossiping. We can kill 3 birds with 1 stone. Let's go.
Cyrene is very good. And it obviously, like, you know, Mem was always very good too. You know what I mean? That's very cool. But Cyrene is very good. Like, and I feel like Cyrene is like very good at pushing the story forward in a very natural way that feels like, you know, she's ready for all these situations. But yeah, like what we have now is the idea of like her wanting to form an alliance with us, alliance quote unquote, to try and end Fagusa, because she wants to move beyond the skies. That's what she wants. And Lygus fed into that idea of her wanting to move beyond the skies and wanting to probably rule beyond the skies. And honestly, like, I think, again, as much as like I hate Lygus with a holy passion, you can't say he's dumb. But I don't think Cerydra's dumb either, because I think there's an element to Cerydra that like I don't think she. I think she can be fooled, but there's an element to it as well where like I hope that like in some ways she can see through Lygus. But I wonder, because like she's so blinded by the idea of moving beyond the skies, that it's hard for her to like see like how plainly like on the surface like evil Lygus is. You know what I mean? like this guy enunciates every syllable, as I said, like it's his last syllable. I don't know, man. Like, I think it's possible that it could go both ways. I think it's possible that there is an element to Cerydra that she kind of like can see through Lygus. I think there's also a possibility that she's so blinded by the idea of wanting to move beyond the skies, which again wouldn't make sense because it's a big ordeal. It's a huge thing, right? It's an amazing thing. You know, abandoning your current gods and meeting new gods and going beyond the sky and seeing the world for itself. But she doesn't realize that like Lygus wants to spread destruction. He wants to revert this world and wants Iron Tomb to revert this world back to the Stone Age. Oh, sorry, you guys were looking at me? Oh, sorry, I just know you both went into the hairdressers and said, I want the same haircut as him. And that's why they call you lack of originality twins. Isn't that it? Downtown, yeah? Yeah, I think that's what it is, yeah. Oh, you still looking at me as I'm walking away? Cool, cool. Oh, open-toed shoes. Be ashamed if someone stepped on them, you know? With a knife. Let's go in here and check this out. Yeah, Cerydra's doing a very good job of, like,
Oh, so many people. The holy city is so lively.
Cerydra's playing a part, man. She's so good at this. I mean, it's obvious to us, but of course, I don't think it's going to be obvious to everyone, right? For sure, you know?
Did you hear? At the Alliance meeting, the delegate from Leyden stormed out in anger.
As expected, the Imperator is always hiding things from everyone. When has it not caused a ruckus?
Silence! That's treason!
Oh, Lord. Here he is back again.
If it weren't for the great Imperator, you'd have sunk into the lake with those corrupt elders already. And you wouldn't even be alive to speak like this.
This, to me, is where it gets... Again, we already was kind of disrupted, but it's like this idea of you're lucky to be alive because the Imperator, like, says you're alive. Like, nah, man. Nah, that's rough. That should never be. That should never be a thing, right? Like... You're alive because you're lucky. She let you be alive. And like this phrase right beforehand, like, you know, like she's always hiding things from everyone when it hasn't caused a ruckus. Like it's very clear that a lot of people see through Cerydra in a lot of ways, right? For sure. But they, like, obviously, like, and some of them are openly saying it. So there is like an element where they're allowed to speak their mind as long as they don't cross a certain boundary. But then you also have followers of her as well that believe in her so much that they're like justifying the idea of like, you're not dead because she lets you be alive. Like, come on, like.
Oh no, it's the Imperator's loyal dog.
Their voice does not match their movements.
Let's go. We can't talk in front of this guy.
Their voice sounds like more flippant, but their actions show they were terrified.
Disappointing. Oh, honored guests, we meet again. Looks like I'm not the only one who came to the baths to unwind after the meeting.
Yeah.
For the upcoming campaign, please make sure to rest well. I am Dux Fregoris, a trusted officer of the great Imperator, willing to fight alongside the Deliverer in the coming battles.
Thank you, I guess. Thank you so much. I can tell you're loyal. You don't even have to use the word loyal. You could just say, I am this dude, and I know you're loyal.
Ugh. Another war? Ever since the Imperator took control of Okhema, we haven't had a day of peace.
Wow.
Idle chatter.
The atmosphere is a bit tense, with rumors flying around the city. You must be troubled.
So even after this alliance and like all this stuff too, you still have like wars happening, right?
My apologies. After every alliance meeting, there are always some pests in the city who get restless. I prefer to ignore them. Pests on the ground don't affect the sky in the slightest. They just complain from the shadows that the sun's light is too harsh.
I just ignore them by going up and telling them to shut up. Like, okay, buddy. You don't ignore nobody. What are you on about? And it's totally normal after a big moment, like politically or socially, for people to then branch off and be like, oh yeah, this happened and this happened. I disagree with this, I disagree with that. I agree with this, I agree with that. Like, that's society. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Like, to say that, like, it's like, oh, god damn it, idiots. It's like, no, they're the normal ones.
Besides, the Theoros has already promised the Imperator her fate. And these clowns will eventually realize their foolishness.
Oh, come on, we have to pick up on this.
May I ask, who is this Theoros?
The Imperator has ordered us to keep his lordship's whereabouts
Lordship? He's been given a lord title?
Ah, so it's his lordship.
Oh my god, his lordship. he's hilarious. He's both sad and hilarious because he represents the type of like follower who like will follow someone blindly like for no reason, you know. But he's also hilarious because like he clearly is like trying so hard to protect the sanctity of these like this information, but he's just like failing so miserably.
Stop trying to get things out of me. Leave me alone.
Buddy, you did it yourself.
I didn't even need to try. Big and strong Dux Fregoris really can't hide anything.
Agreed.
Theoros. What an ominous name.
Do you think we just never heard him being referred to as Theoros?
Bad news. He's been staring at us the whole time. Let's move to another place for now.
He's staring at us.
We don't know how much Cerydra has concealed from us. In the worst case scenario, we may have to face more than one enemy.
Did your mother's, when she birthed you, she said, "Oh my God, look at them"? The doctor said, "Is it what gender are they?" Like, let me check. And she said, "I know what gender they are. They're nosy. Absolutely nosy. Mind your business, okay? We'll never stand out. We have the same haircuts and everything. Mind your business." So sick, man. I love going to this place as well, but it feels so different now, of course. Yeah, and it's totally normal for people to want to branch off after hearing that a war is about to happen with Fagusa and be like, this sucks. And there's this one, like, freaking teacher's pet there being like, "No, leave her alone, please. These goddamn idiots talking crap about my emperor." Like, it's like, come on, man. Come on. Like, Jesus Christ. And then, like, of course, like, he's more of a silly character than anything, but, like,
Alliance meeting?
I don't know.
Ridiculous.
This is the one who disagreed with her, right?
Alliance meeting? More like a cage where creatures with golden blood claw at each other.
Interesting way of putting it.
And Flame Crowned, who ends wars? Clearly a tyrant who doesn't deserve such a title.
Interesting. So the idea that, like, she has this title of someone who's a war ender, but she, like, is starting more wars.
You're absolutely right. While the Imperator's hounds are still hunting down others, let's let out our grievances.
You. I know you. You're that tyrant's lackey. What? Here to shut me up for that little imp?
Very aggressive, right? There's obviously a lot of tension here, right?
Panicking now? Don't worry. I don't care what others say about the Imperator. And she certainly doesn't either.
Yeah, it's very clear that she doesn't want to silence people from saying stuff. I think when she said boundaries is what she means is, like, if they go too far, like killing a scout, right? Because what we're seeing here, like, is that people are allowed to talk.
Oh? Children of the Prophecy. Such rare guests.
You're going to see that other soldier that we're just talking to being like, "No running at the pool."
Are you here to relax in the baths as well? The temperature is just right today, so be sure to enjoy it. You should rest well for the next campaign.
Okay.
What? Children of the Prophecy? Another excuse for the Imperator's reckless warmongering.
I kind of like hearing this stuff, even if, like, it's, like, very clearly, like, there's so much tension here. Like, the idea of, like, people seeing, like, us bringing, or her bringing people for a prophecy, like, delivered from beyond the sky as a way of kind of just another way to justify her warmongering.
No filter, huh? You should be glad you don't have a seat at the Alliance meetings. By the way, if you still want to bathe, hurry up.
And a justification of war happens all the time. So, like, again, I'm not going to ever, like, look down on people for, like, questioning why anyone's going to war, because, you know, war is, you know, terrifying and terrible mixed together.
Once that predatory fish joins the flow of water and eliminates all the fools questioning the world beyond the sky, you won't be able to enjoy this perfect water temperature anymore.
Are they talking about Hysilens? Wait, so she's going to get rid of all the... No.
Seems like there's more to Dux Bermalis' words than meets the eye.
Is she planning on getting rid of them now?
Did the Imperator actually kill those who question the world beyond the sky? This is the complete opposite from what we know of Okhema.
Yeah, so maybe we are wrong about that. Because I thought she'd let people, like, question stuff, but I guess if people are, like, questioning stuff too hard, she's going to kill them? Because I thought it was just, like, if they acted upon it. And she sent Hysilens to do so as well. And I love that she says this is what we, like, our Okhema would never be like this. Our Okhema is so caring of the people. You know, the people matter more than anything. When Aglaya was ruling Okhema, it was like people first, Aglaya last even, not even second. It's so different. It's so different.
I wonder what everyone in the city is talking about lately.
Again, I'm not going to ever, like, look down on people for questioning any war, like, at all.
Huh. These two are...
Oh, the poet and the historian?
So many guests today. Let's see who's here now.
Oh no, the advisor and the historian, right?
Two distinguished guests of the prophecy. One a clever and adorable warrior. The other, also quite heroic.
Adorable warrior and the other quite heroic. So Stella's the adorable one and Cyrene's the heroic one.
Ah, heroes. I didn't expect to meet you again so soon. How fortunate.
It's a pleasure to see you again, Dux Helcolithist and Dux Carminum. You two are inseparable, aren't you?
This is...
Oh, she wants to find someone to help with research for her new work.
She's very nervous, isn't she?
I am the far-seeing eye and all-hearing ear of Okhema. I see and hear every single thing that happens in the streets and alleys of this place. I'm the perfect partner for research.
Ahem.
Ahem?
Enough small talk. Here's the latest news from Okhema, as you requested. Of the prophecy arrived in the holy city, and the Imperator unilaterally seized military power. The Alliance meeting ended in discord, and there may be bloody upheaval.
So he's predicting that there will be kind of like a bloody upheaval. There will be something that happens that is more like physical than it is just like words. And maybe that's why Hysilens is probably going to be sent to sort this out. And it's not always normal for, I guess, to seize military power all the time either. But I guess people expected it in some way.
As expected.
I get the feeling you might have embellished a bit to keep people's attention.
Yeah?
I swear on my stone mane, I would
Wait, is this with the upheaval, maybe?
But if you wish to quell this terrifying news, perhaps a more explosive topic would help.
Never mind. While the influence of rumors can be minimized, the fact remains that the great Imperator did swiftly consolidate military power in an almost threatening way.
Uh-huh.
It's undeniable.
110%. We saw it.
Heroes. I know the Imperator's way of doing things may seem a bit autocratic to outsiders, but soon you will witness her blade dance with enemies on the battlefield.
So he's saying, like, at this point, right, you have a different perception of our leader. Like, and obviously they praise the leader in some ways too. But like once we witness like her actually fighting, we're gonna have a different perception of her. And I do see, here's the thing, I do see it as autocratic. Like, I want to make that clear. Like, we talked about this, how, like, we've given her the benefit of the doubt 110%, but, like, it is very autocratic. It is very, like, I am the one in power. I am the one who consolidates all power. But they're saying that, like, the justification that they have is, like, once you actually see her on the battlefield and see how she fights, you'll have a different view, which I'm not sure if that'll be the case, but we'll see how it goes.
I can't comment on the source of her loyalty. But when that blade is drawn, you two, as bright as you are, will surely see the deep thoughts beneath her exterior.
So you're saying we'll understand her more after this? After we see her fight, we'll understand her more as a person.
The Imperator's blade. Is he talking about Miss Hysilens?
Interesting. He's not just talking about the Imperator on the battlefield, he's talking about Hysilens on the battlefield.
I sense some unease in Dux Helcolithist's words. It seems the Imperator and Miss Hysilens share a much deeper bond than the others.
Yeah, 110%. And that's why he said her loyalty is her loyalty to the Imperator. They don't know why she's so loyal, but they are very close. Sorry I cut you off there. I cut you off right at the start of Do. Very rude.
There are eyes and ears everywhere. Is there any place where we can have some privacy? To understand the Imperator's secrets, we have to get past Miss Hysilens.
Hysilens. So that's interesting to say what they said there, though, because, like, to me, like, that's a very, like, again, like, being like, hey, you might think that our ruler's like a dictator or autocratic or whatever, but once you see Hysilens on the freaking battlefield, you're gonna change your mind. That's an interesting way to phrase it, right? Because that means that, like, their justification of, like, why there might be, like, an autocratic rule here is also, like, hey, like, watch Hysilens kill things? Which no doubt it's going to be incredible. No doubt it's going to be amazing to see, an amazing sight. But I wonder, like, you know, where they're just, oh my god, our old bedroom. Yeah, I wonder where, like, because again, I do love that you have, like, so many different, like, elements going on right now where you have, like, a possible punishment for the people that are going against the thing from beyond the sky. We have the whole thing with, like, some of the characters are definitely, like, against the idea of, like, her autocratic rule, while other characters are very much justifying it as a way to, like, it's going to save everybody, right? It's going to help everybody. We have people that are for the war, people that are against the war. We have a situation where, like, Cerydra herself has to think whether she wants to align herself with Stell or with Lygus. Like, there's so many little tiny details going on here, and so many different threads that we're following. They're all going to lead to the same place, let's be honest here. But, because it's going to dovetail in the end. But there's so many different things that we can follow here right now. It's our old bedroom. What's it going to look like now?
This place was your original bath chamber. Perfect for avoiding prying eyes. I wonder if anyone is using it now. Huh? The smell is...
Wait,
don't go in yet.
what?
Who's there?
Oh, it's Hysilens. It's her? Oh, sorry.
Oh, the little gray fry in pink sea.
So sorry. We can leave. We can definitely leave.
Little sea
This sea hair is crazy. Again, beautiful artwork, but I don't want to, like, intrude. You know what I mean? Wait, is her hair floating on the water too? That's again, beautiful artwork. Absolutely gorgeous. She looks stunning. Amazing. Absolutely gorgeous artwork. But also, like, if you need us to leave, you need us to walk right back out, we'll walk right back out.
You barged into here without warning. Was it an accident, or did you wish to bathe with me?
I didn't see anything. What are you doing here? Why are you here? It's probably her private bath chambers. But that shows, like, a lot of, like, you know, directness and this interesting lack of fear of Hysilens to be like, yeah, what, did you want to see me in the bath? You know? I love I didn't see anything is very, like, Stella line to say.
Is that so? But your eyes
Whoa!
shine brighter than glass.
So she's saying you're like, hey, you say you didn't see anything, but, like, I saw you looking. I saw you looking.
Sorry, we didn't mean to disturb your bath. We'll leave now.
She has a lot of confidence, which again, she's absolutely gorgeous, right? She's a gorgeous character, but like also she has this, like really confident nature to herself, and this very straightforward, confident nature to herself, but now she's being more, like, playful as well.
It's no big deal. There's no need to panic. This is the natural state for me.
Oh.
People on land force themselves to wear clothes, adding unnecessary constraints.
So that's what she has to wear clothes, even though she's, you know, a fish lady. Is that why she has, like, the tank? Wait, is the chest, like, tank thing, like, a thing for her to, like, breathe? Because that would be really interesting. Because look at the way the water's floating here too. It feels like she is in her natural state. Like, actually, like, it's like one of those things where I'm gonna say it right now, even again, since she's, like, okay with us being here, that's perfectly fine. Now we can say this. First of all, she looks absolutely stunning. Like, an absolutely stunning piece of artwork. But also, she looks more comfortable than she's ever been. Right? She's not just, like, this stiff soldier that we were talking to this whole time that had a bit of snark to her voice. She feels very comfortable. Right? And that's what she's saying. This is what I usually am. This is who I usually am. Right? Yeah, the color of the water is beautiful. Her as a character design is great as well. Yeah, so that's interesting that, like, what a way to, like, again, because I want to make this clear. Like, for me, there's nothing wrong with drawing a... But this isn't naked. I want to make that clear. There's nothing wrong with drawing a character in a bath, right? But what I'm more was saying that, like, I don't want to be in here if someone feels uncomfortable. She's not uncomfortable, so at that point, it's like, okay, whatever. Like, it's perfectly fine then, you know? If everyone else is comfortable, it's perfectly fine. But what I think as well is so interesting is that it's playing on the ideals that we know from, like, games, our own world, that, like, you walk in on somebody and it's like, oh, sorry, you know, I didn't mean to, you know, and that feeling of feeling naturally uncomfortable, which is totally normal for people to feel uncomfortable when people see them in a more vulnerable state, right, where they don't have any clothes on or something like that as well. That's totally normal. But it's actually interesting in terms of writing to play on that fact where it's like, okay, this girl's like a fish lady or something. They keep referring to her as like a fish. She refers to herself as like a swordfish. So it's interesting to have a character play on that ideals of like what people are more comfortable with when they do have like all their clothes on. For her being like, I'm unclothed in the water and she's like the most, like, she's the most relaxed she's ever looked. You know what I mean? Even with people walking in, she's like, this is me. This is who I am, you know?
Forget it. If Dux Goldweaver heard that, she'd scold me again.
Sorry, I talked on a tangent for so long there. The clothes. So she wants her to wear clothes. She's like, you gotta wear clothes, okay? You gotta wear the tie.
All right. Please make yourselves comfortable and wait a moment. Let me first wash off the blood of the hunt.
Oh, that's the blood?
And then I'll attend to you two.
The hunt? Did you already hunt people? Crude Ladonian?
The delegate from Leo's been assassinated. Quick! Quick, someone come quick!
Oh my god. Did she already get him? Did you already get him? Oh my god, my heart, man.
Ah, the broken crab shell surfaces. I was worried it had been washed away by the current.
Wait, so she said, like, it was you, wasn't it? All four of the guards, you're a vicious fish. Jesus Christ, it was you, wasn't it?
Just a regular cleaning. No need to be so surprised.
Dear Lord.
I see. No wonder there was a faint smell of rust in the air before
That's
I
what
entered.
Cyrene smelled, was the blood. So she executed that guy who was at the event. That changes my view completely, by the way, because I thought, like, oh, you're just allowed to speak your mind here, but as long as you don't cross the boundary. The boundary is shut up. The boundary is don't say a thing against her. That is definitely autocratic. That's 100% autocratic. There's no way about it. There's no two ways about it. There's no getting around it. Someone who goes against the ideals of the Emperor getting killed, that is 100% the complete opposite of a democracy and anything that goes into that as well. Now, if we find out that this guy killed the scout, then that's different. Then it's like, okay, you kill someone. Again, I don't believe in like executions, in terms of law-based executions, but I think we have to say as well that it makes sense in terms of their world.
Why? Is it because the Ladonians refused to contribute troops to the Flame Chase journey? Or just because they offended the Imperator?
This is a good question. It's a really good question.
Because the new era of the Flame Chase doesn't tolerate stagnant blood. For the ignorant masses who cling to outdated laws, only bloodletting can wake them up.
Wait, so like we heard the word stagnant before as well, but like she's saying like, hey, like, you know, in this new time, we have no time for people that are gonna stay in the same spot. We need to move forward. These old laws mean nothing to us anymore. What the hell, man? Like, and again, it changes my. I'm not gonna like obviously like by the way, bloodletting is when you like, I believe anyway, I could be wrong. Doctors can tell me wrong, but I think it's like when you like remove people's blood, like part of the blood. So it's actually like getting rid of some of the blood, the stagnant blood, so that the more moving blood can keep moving forward. I'm guessing is what she means. Like, from my perspective, it was like, I think that's what stories are, where you learn more as we go on, but I definitely thought it was like more you could say what you wanted, it's just as long as you didn't do something physical. But no, like, if you have a difference of a viewpoint, you dead.
Right now, the rebel forces on the frontier are rising, and Layden has been secretly supporting them. They loudly chant the slogan, "Return to the era Chrysos," unwilling to relinquish military power. They're just building momentum for the rebellion.
Fair enough. I reserve judgment on this. It seems a bit too extreme for me to accept. Here's the thing. Would you guys see me, and this is me trying to like go through it in my own head. I was 100% against the idea of the era Chrysos returning. I also called for the execution of the elders. So, like, while, like, this is, like, a really dark story and really crazy, am I a hypocrite if I go, you executed the people against this regime? But I think the reason why I wouldn't be as hypocritical by still feeling uncomfortable about this and, like, you know, suppressing a rebellion in some ways, you know, and things like this, is while I think the return to the era Chrysos is never going to happen and never could happen. I think the difference is Aglaya was actually a leader who cared about, who didn't want anyone to be harmed. Whether it's the elders or whatever. Like, she wanted everyone to kind of, like, live a good life. To an extent, right? Obviously, she cared about the Flame Chase journey quite a lot, too. But I think the difference is, like, you know, people rebelling against Aglaya versus people rebelling against, Cerydra is two different things, right? It's one regime that feels very like autocratic in a way, whereas in other senses, like Aglaya was very much like she took such a, like, people talk crap about her every day and she took it. You know what I mean? She like they would say the most horrible stuff and she was just like, yep, okay, fine, you know, whatever. So it's interesting to me that like I think the way I'd look at it is, if this is like the elders and the cleaners, and in fairness, like this is the return to Era Chrysia is, in a lot of ways was supported by the idea of getting rid of the flame chasers. So that is a thing where it's like, okay, that is like, you know, stopping that isn't the worst thing in the world. But it's also a thing where like I always like I'm stopped in my tracks from any type of like stopping of rebellion. I don't know. It's very interesting. We'll say fair enough for now.
Thinking is a right given to citizens
You see what
by
I mean?
the Imperator. I won't interfere with your
But it's what you say. This is again very autocratic. It's like you can think what you want.
As long as you don't try to reverse the current of the times, you and I will both be free.
So that's what she means by boundaries. Boundaries are if your words influence something, and as soon as they influence something when it came to the rebellion, it's like you're gone.
But Miss Hysilens,
Boundaries are literally when you get too involved, is what they're saying.
I can't even hear the slightest hint of joy in
So she
your
doesn't
words.
take any joy in this, is what Cyrene's saying. Oh,
Because I've already tasted ultimate freedom.
what does that mean?
Long, long ago, I lived in the sea. In that lightless abyss, far beyond civilization's reach, the great fish consumed the small. And when the great fish perished, their bodies became sustenance for the newborn, nourishing the whole ocean.
Like a cycle of life. This is so interesting, man. What an interesting character.
This is the tide that carries civilization forward. Anyone may be devoured, or meet the fate of inevitable decay.
Are you suggesting that ultimate freedom is in fact the cruelest fate for life?
That's so interesting. That's so interesting. Because that to me, like, is... Like, to me, it's like... She feels comfort in the water and without her clothes on, right? But then there's also an element to, like, where, like, reverting back to the idea of, like, being in the ocean is cruel. The idea of that ultimate freedom is cruel. So she believes in the idea of this autocratic and totalitarian kind of, like, regime because people shouldn't have their own freedoms, because that's more cruel than people being lauded over and ruled over. That's such an interesting perspective, right? It's so interesting.
I only mean that if life wishes to preserve its dignity, it must first be bound by the
Interesting.
law.
Very interesting.
There's no need for me to say more, Little Sea Hare.
Little Sea Hare?
We are of one mind. Whether the Imperator's law can guide the schools of fish and lead us to a truly free ocean, let us wait and see.
So she's like, it sounds like she's saying like, hey, like it's still a wait and see attitude. Like I'm not like, but to me this is the best option she has, which is like following the law, following the idea of rule. What an interesting character. What an interesting character. Like, to have a character that's so loyal to the Imperator, but also at the same time too, is kind of still doing a wait and see attitude of like, let's see if they can do this, right? But then also a character that believes in this autocratic world because of they had ultimate freedom beforehand and they saw it as cruel, but also at the same time too, they feel warmth from being naked in the water. This to me is so interesting because this is how you write an interesting character. The characters who are most interesting are the ones that like do anti-smoking campaigns, but they smoke cigarettes in secret, right? Hysilens, the reason she's so interesting to me is that she's a character that like says the ultimate freedom sucks, it's terrible, it's cruel, but also I feel at my most warm when I'm reverted back to that time in like terms of like the feeling of the water. Obviously that's not hypocritical, but you know what I mean? It's almost like she doesn't want to go back to that time, but she still feels comfort from like the elements of that time.
But for now, let's pause this heart-to-heart. Another fish has come, following the scent of blood.
I'm so glad that this character is one of the most interesting characters. She's so interesting. Who followed us? Aglaya.
Being your subordinate is such a tragedy. I'm always having to worry about the messes you leave behind.
Oh, you work for Hysilens?
It's simply our duty to the Imperator.
Oh my god, that outfit. And that's what's so funny. It's like, for the character to have the coolest outfit in the entire game, she doesn't like it. She wants to be naked.
All ready to go in an instant. Miss Hysilens, you truly are impossible
She got
to predict.
ready really quick.
Yet you, a golden trout who's always busy all day, suddenly have the time to visit me?
Very observant from Hysilens, right? Not the trout thing, but...
Do you think I wanted to come? I suggest you burn some more of the incense offered by our allies, lest my creations be tainted by the reek of fish. I'm only here on the Imperator's behalf to remind you to prepare for the banquet.
Fine. But I must retort. What you call the reek of fish, to me, is the unique fragrance of the sea.
Honestly, love that. She is like, I'm saying, like, she doesn't want her ever to go back to that time, it's very clear. But at the same time, too, she's, she still loves elements from it, right? For sure.
Besides, if my fine clothes get stained, won't you just gift me new
Oh,
ones?
you made those clothes, Aglaya? Aglaya's a genius.
I won't.
They seem pretty close. They seem to know each other 100%. There is a strange chemistry. That's a great way of putting it.
Is that how friendship is described beyond the sky? Fascinating.
There is a playful snarkiness between the both of them, right?
By the way, you both just mentioned a banquet. Could you elaborate on that?
Oh, right, you don't know. Every time before a battle, or after a victory, the Imperator holds a grand feast for the Chrysos heirs to lift our spirits. For us warriors who swim constantly between life and death, these feasts are more worth looking forward to than victory.
I'd imagine, man. Like, I'd look forward to the food than the dying as well.
A banquet to prelude the hunt for the god of banquets, and honey brew as a tribute to commemorate the ancestor of honey brew. How absurd.
Don't look so grim. All has been decided. Since it's a banquet for Fagusa, why not take a leaf out of the Tidens book? Live in the moment and enjoy life to the fullest.
I'm not as carefree as you. That little Dolos kitten is already causing enough trouble for me. And on top of that,
Cyphera?
I still have tailoring commissions to complete.
You love Cypher. Don't even stare.
By the time the cool flame illuminates my eyes, I might not be able to focus as I used to.
Aglaya's eyes.
Curious about these eyes? People often compare them to jewels.
Yeah.
But I've already made my decision to ask romance for eyes that can see everything.
You often do forget, do you often do forget that she was blind, right?
I wonder what this world will look like when I take the divine authority.
In the future, you will still be the finest weaver in the world.
Yeah, 110%.
Is this also a prophecy from the three
No,
things?
this is just us knowing you and thinking you're amazing.
It's even more accurate than a prophecy. After all, she has already witnessed it.
Yeah, we
right?
just know you're amazing. You will be the most romantic thing in the world. You will forge the long stairs to Aranova. Oh, let's not say that. Let's say this.
Become a demigod and lose your humanity. That is the only reply I've received in the countless times I've sought wisdom from the prophecy. But Destiny's fragments are like stitches. Before they're threaded into splendid garments, no one can see their true charm, can they?
Very interesting
Aglaya
interaction.
has always been troubled by the divine duty she must bear. But thanks to you, she seems to be in much better spirits.
Yeah, I love her voice actor so much. Yeah, like that's really honestly cool that our friendship and love for each other transcends like kind of like almost time in a way, you know? Do you know each other well?
Just as she knows how the spinning wheel trembles, I can sense the smallest changes in the damp air. As for whether we know each other well, I've swum beside her since she was a child. Most of the time, I can understand the whispers in her heart.
So, because they've known each other for so long, she can like understand her on a deeper level.
For those words she was too shy to say herself, I'll raise a glass to you on her behalf. Now, I leave this bath chamber to you.
Oh, really? Thank you. And honestly, though, I think it's very sweet that we're seeing this other side to Hysilens as well, because obviously she was always very, like, forceful. She's very strong. She's very tough. She's very, like, almost, like, scary sometimes. But we've also seen her, like, you know, show restraint. And now, in this case, show love. You know, there's, like, no character is ever just, like, one thing, right?
Rest well and prepare yourselves. After all, every time we drink and talk could be the last celebration we have in this life.
Again, what a way to put it. What a way to put it.
Miss Hysilens has given us the bath chamber. It seems she really does do whatever she wants.
Yeah, she seems like carefree in like a weird, like more restrained way, right? We're just her roommates. We're roommates.
It seems that way. This also means she could return at any moment. If we're having an important discussion, we must remain vigilant. So, let's seize the opportunity and report our current progress. We don't want to keep everyone beyond the sky waiting.
I agree. Oh, we're just doing it right now. Just right away. There's Herta. Perfect.
First, while that little empress with a candle stuck on her head didn't explicitly say it, she firmly rejected your request to take over the law. Fair enough.
That's interesting. Herta's watching and kind of, she's like saying like, oh no, like, it didn't sound like it, but she definitely did reject you.
Second, Lygus is indeed in
oh
this
my God.
timeline. But since he's somehow connected to that little empress, you have no way to find him. Huh. As expected.
Talking to Lygus so much makes me appreciate Herta so much. She's just so straight to the point, you know?
The road ahead will be long and difficult.
I haven't even said anything and you already know everything. I think she's watching. Next time, don't steal my lines. We'll steal her line.
Not a bad imitation.
Reduce some tension there, but yeah, Herta like being straight to the point is great.
Since you didn't refute anything, I'll just assume I
Wait, was it a guess? Right. You guessed it all?
We've made some progress here too, but nothing to get too excited about. Our time is short, so let me summarize.
Sure, let's go.
Concerning the origin of that Intellitron, the firewall he created uses Catorzane algebraic expressions. But ever since Aiden invented the 9-worded formula, this kind of mathematical logic no longer exists in the cosmos.
Okay.
Lygus is definitely connected to the Genius Society.
Whoa.
So stay alert.
Maybe he's a creation of some genius? Could he be related to the Emperor? That's a good assumption, right?
We can first exclude Droidhead themselves. They specialize in minding their own business and wouldn't intervene personally. But Screwy and I are still eliminating possibilities one by one.
Yeah, and again, I love the image of them working right now discussing this and debating over this, you know. I'd actually like, even though like it probably wouldn't be like something they put in the game, it would be interesting like as a side thing to see them like having a full-on 2-hour debate about this.
Currently, the most likely candidates are these few. The Lord of Silence, Acha. Oh, the 2 Ruperts are also possible.
Yeah, we're thinking Ruperts, right?
It would be too boring if it were one of them.
I vote for the Lord of Silence. Even you can't come up with an accurate answer. Finally, we'll get to face off with some big names. That's very Stell as well, I guess.
I've told you, his technology is both outdated and complicated, no less than genius. But ultimately, he's not an Eon. We can handle him.
The motivation. If Herta says I can handle him, I can handle him.
That's all I have to say. We'll depend on you to continue pushing things forward within this world. Keep in touch regularly. And remember, don't let your guard down.
Thank you so much, Herta. I'm going to screenshot this as well, by the way. Yeah.
Madam Herta is a real
She's
whirlwind.
fantastic. She's really fantastic. Again, in a world of Lyguses, be a Herta, you know?
Well then, let's use the banquet Aglaya mentioned as our next starting point. Cerydra's trusted followers should all be present at that time. It'll be a good opportunity to get closer to them.
Sure. We must avoid direct confrontation with Lygus.
It's settled then. With our great teamwork, we'll be able to deal with anything that comes our way.
Perfect.
It's been a long day. We should get some rest now.
Yeah. Not yet.
All right. When you've tired yourself out, remember to come back. I'll be waiting for you here.
110%. Thank you so much. This to me was, we're gonna end the episode here, by the way, but this to me was like an episode that like feels like a build-up to something. You know what I mean? And that happens like with a lot of times when we're doing Honkai Star Rail, but like for me, it was like I kind of like them drip feeding information to us, where oh yeah, here we go. Where we don't understand everything fully yet, where we're not getting full information on everything yet.
Is that a
And we just kind of have to
stain?
like make assumptions
I like this coat.
based on not as we make assumptions, and as time goes on our assumptions are either confirmed or denied. I love that like I had this love for Cerydra and Hysilens, and then I come out of this episode now, and while I don't like, I feel like I'm not soured on Cerydra, but I think it's one of those things where like it went from being like Cerydra's so freaking like kind of cool but scary to being like she really probably needs us to be way more weary of her, and not because I think she's sneaky or evil, right? Because I think that like she's definitely like let this idea of going beyond the sky go to her head, and I feel like that's something that can be very dangerous. Hysilens, I'm coming out of the episode going from, okay, this is one of the coolest characters ever, to being like, oh my god, this is like one of the coolest characters ever. And what, again, do we agree with the idea of shutting people up who have a who go against your views? Obviously, it depends on the views. You know what I mean? If someone in the middle of the courtyard there said, "We want to kill all people with the brown hair in Amphoreus," you kill them. Just end them. Bye bye. Done. You're gone. You know. But it's also obviously a difficult thing, and it's a complicated situation because, as we said, we have to look at it through the lens of like what a knight commander would do, what a king or a queen would see from their perspective, right? And that's the really important part as well, where like I can sit here and be like, Cerydra, what you're doing is completely wrong and you are wrong, all this stuff, and yeah, that's fair. Like, no one's gonna stop me, right? But then at the same time too, we also have to look at some stuff through the lens of like history, right? What would kingdoms act like? What would an emperor act like? What would they do? That doesn't make the emperor right. I want to make that clear. You guys know I'm very much like anti-monarchy, anti-totalitarianism, anti-autocratic nations all the time. But I feel like it's like a math problem. You know what I mean? You ever get like with a math problem where like, I don't know if this is the same thing in every country, but like in Ireland, if you got the first part of your math problem wrong, you still got points for getting the rest of it like right, based on the first part of it being wrong, which is a very interesting thing, you know? And I always like to see it as kind of like, I'll stop over here for a second. I always like to see it as like, you know, the actions that are taking place here, there's wrong actions here. But I'm not, how do I say it? But like, once like the action's already been declared wrong, then we judge it in the context of that action again, you know? So it's like, yes, is this like freaking execution wrong? It's like, okay, there we have it. We've established that like we don't really like the idea of just executing people, you know, because again, we don't have the context of what it is. Because if it was a situation where kindness being like, I want to bring back the era Chrysia, right? Executing her, I would justify it all the time, 110%. Not that I get people like Calvin, you said before you don't believe in like execution by law, but you know what I mean. Like if Finon killed her in that moment, in those moments when she was trying during the council thing and all this stuff too, I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't go against it. I'd probably support Finon in a lot of ways, right? Because again, we're in different times, different history, all this stuff as well. But it would. I think I just need more context on like the Era Chrysia followers this time, because the Era Chrysia followers we had ranged from stupid to naive to annoying to bad to evil. So there's like all these different contexts here, right? You could say that since he's a leader of this kind of like group that wants to bring back Era Chrysia, he could have been like kindness. He could have been like these other characters here that was so against the idea of like Chrysos Heirs and all this stuff too, that they wanted to that killing them might have been justified. But I think it's also a thing as well where like I'm sitting here kind of being like, well, what if they were just like sick of the idea of one ruler over this whole nation deciding everything and like and not being able to speak out against them and all this stuff too. That's also, especially since they use the word tyrant, right? And that triggers something in my brain, especially like someone who like, as I always say, lives in Ireland and knows the history of my whole country is based on rebellion and fighting against stuff and fighting against tyrants. So that triggers something in my brain where I'm like, I gotta find out more, you know? But yeah, well, Hysilens is like one of those things where like, obviously she's executing people, but that doesn't change the fact that like she's like such an interesting and unique character that like makes me want to like know more about her. She's a character that I think is like so interesting in her actions, her facial expressions, and her words that she told us in that pool there. The reason why I adore her character so much is because in that moment there, how quickly she made. Because again, here's the thing: I watch movies with naked. There's naked people in movies. There's naked people in TV shows. Naked people in games. There's all this stuff here. Like there's naked people in art. It's a body. Who cares, right? But that always depends on the person that is naked, right? So if Hysilens said, "Get out of here, I'm uncomfortable," we run and we say, "So sorry. That's so horrible. I'm so sorry that happened," right? But it's interesting, like, how quickly, like, Hysilens made it, like, so normal and just kind of, like... Because, again, there's nothing wrong with, like, a body, right? And as soon as, like, the other person's like, yeah, whatever, who cares? It's like... And obviously, I want to say it, too. Obviously, there's also, like, the context of, like, the other person has to... Who's seeing it has to also be like, you know, I don't have an issue with it. But in this case, clearly, Stella and Cyrene didn't express, like, oh, like, no, I don't want to see it. Like, so that's obviously different, right? That's what I'm saying. If every party in the room was kind of like, whatever, it's like, whatever, you know? And how quickly it became a comfortable situation where it's like, okay, she's in the bath, who cares, you know? I don't feel like I'm intruding on her, and the gals don't feel like they need to, like, look away and be like, oh. So it became an instantly, like, comfortable situation. But the reason why, like, I think her whole thing of, like, the nudity aspect is so interesting is not just because, like, oh, she's naked and she's, like, so confident. It's more of a case of, like, she feels more comfortable in that sense. And that, to me, is so interesting. Like... The idea of wearing clothes to her is discomfort. The idea of her being closer to the water, being naked, is what she more feels like. And it's not just like, oh, like I'm you know, I just don't like clothes. It's like she came from a world of pure freedom. She came from a place of like pure, like dog eat dog world. Because to her, freedom is not just like this desire to make your own decisions. It is that, but also it's the element that the people who are mostly free are left to fend for themselves. That's what she sees ultimate freedom as like complete freedom, which I think that, like, you know, we as societies have learned that like complete freedom is obviously crazy, right? The idea of like letting someone just do whatever they want is crazy. The idea of letting the world be dog eat dog is crazy. The idea of like someone just allowed go to someone who's weaker and just kill them is wrong, right? But it's clear that from Hysilens, she sees it as like one way or the other kind of way, which is either we have this ultimate, you know, autocratic, totalitarian rule by Cerydra, or we have a completely free world where everyone suffers and everyone dies. She sees like the idea of a law as almost like a way to protect people, as a way to, like, you know, save people, which is why she's also such an interesting character too, because the law keeps some people alive, but it also punishes like dissenters and people who are against this thing. So it's like obviously this thing where it's like, as I said, the most interesting characters are the characters who like say one thing and do another thing but don't see anything wrong with it, you know? And Hysilens, I'm not gonna say hypocrite at all, but it's like this world is dog eat dog, the weaker get destroyed, and then like they feed on each other. Is it like crazy different from the idea of like her being one of the most powerful swords people in the entire, like, of Okhema, and she can throw her weight around and kill anyone she wants it by command of Cerydra? You know what I mean? Like, is that really... That's not even dog eat dog. That's like a chosen, like, I am the dog and I will eat you. You know what I mean? Which, again, doesn't make me shy away from her character, by the way. It makes her more interesting to me that she has those complications. That she doesn't want to go back to the water, but she's most comfortable in the water. Like, there's such an interesting element to that as well. Her belief system and the way she talks about Cerydra as well. It's... I genuinely want to know more about her. I genuinely want to follow her more. And also, like, her relationship with Aglaya is also so amazing too, where, like, it's very clear that, like, we see she has a heart. That's how you make, like, a really complicated and interesting character. The fact that we have a character that, like, is going around executing people, like, destroying people, killing people. We have a character that is, you know, shows a very, when we first met her, showed a very kind of, like, I want to say, like, she sounds snarky all the time, but she's not snarky all the time. But a character that seems very serious and very tough and very strong and very, like, in place, like, I'm following this one rule here. But then over time, you're like, oh, she can show restraint. She put that finger over her mouth one time. She can show love. She cares about Aglaya. She can show her true emotions. when she's naked, you know, and she can like show like where she came from and talk about where she came from. She has all these different elements to her character, which she's not just like this like cold-blooded commander and sword that's going around executing people. She's this character who clearly has a reason behind it, even if you don't agree with the reason behind it. As always with characters, we go to learn about them. I always talk about like characters like in stories and other games too, where I say like I don't have to agree with every single action a character makes, but we are doing a disservice to ourselves if we don't try to find why they did this action. Even if it's a crappy reason, even if it's a reason that sucks, we can go, okay, how did they get from this point to this point? And how she got to a point where she has no problem executing people just like for like that is because she believes the idea of ultimate freedom from law and from letting people just like, you know, be fully free means that people in that world are doomed to death and are subject to weakness and strength and dog eat dog. So she sees it as such a cruelty. So she sees her executing people and maintaining the law of Cerydra as more of a mercy than it is letting them just like live and say whatever they want and do whatever they want. She said it here, you guys can think whatever you want, which again is so like close to it's a dictatorship, right? It's like the idea of like, I can't police your thoughts, but what you say. And again, even like the connotations of like, well, you can say what you want as long as it doesn't impede our cause. And I think what they mean by that is saying that you can speak your mind, but as soon as it goes into the territory of like, it's starting to change people's views, we have to put an end to this. So I imagine that it's one of those situations where like you can scream for the rooftops like, this is all bull crap, but as soon as people start following it and being like, oh, he's right, then it's like, oh, we gotta get rid of him. Which is still totalitarian. Like, it is 100%. We can't deny it. It totally is. It's a very interesting character writing, though. I think it's interesting to have a character like Hysilens, who is the best design in the history of Honkai Star Rail. I'm just saying that right now, by the way. I'm proclaiming it. I know someone's going to be like, well, that's your opinion. It's like, yeah, everything I say is my opinion when it's an opinion on art, by the way. Everything is. I don't have to say in my opinion. I will say it sometimes, but you don't have to say in my opinion. Everything you say is an opinion when you talk about the quality of art. But yeah, having this like beautifully designed character have so many different like tiny traits to them already just makes me want to learn more about them. Makes me want to learn so much more about them. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Boot Hill on the freaking banner as well. Again, I'm going to be doing a video soon, by the way, of doing a tier list of all the characters I'm waiting for, who I want to play as. So that will be happening soon, so definitely look out for that. I want to definitely like do a tier list. It's going to be a tier list where I'm going to be like, oh, this character, like, want the most, want the least. And it's not going to be on their characters or their designs or anything like that as well. It's just going to be on like who I want to wish for the most. So Robin and Hysilens have like gone up there really quickly, but this is so cool, man. When was the last time he was on the banner? It's only 12 days he's on the banner too. When was the last time he was on the banner? Man, he's so freaking cool, isn't he? He's such a cool character. We've used him quite a few times as well, for sure. He's fantastic. And the light cones, which this is already really cool. Light cone. Jesus, look at that light cone. And then we have the best banner in the game. I believe I can't look at the next banner, so it's been nice looking at the banner with you guys. But I am still excited a lot for like all the things coming up here as well. We got Misha as well, by the way. I could just do a 10 wish on this to like on the off chance we get Boot Hill, but like I'm still saving all my wishes, so we'll see about that as well. But I do want to do a tier list of characters that I want the most, and you guys can see who I want the most as well. Yeah, this is awesome. What a cool design. And it's like rope going off the banner as well. That's such a great idea. 3D. Very cool. So, we have to talk about everything that's happened here in this episode. And I feel like what's happening with Amphoreus, which is a very like common thing so far for Amphoreus, is that everything's so information dense. Like, I feel like in 5 minutes, you could get, you know, the biggest revelations ever. You know what I mean? And it's happening like all the time here. But I feel like even in terms of just like character talk, you know, conversations in general, like Honkai Star is very good at like giving you a lot of information without even you realizing that like you're getting like a lesson, right? It's always, sometimes it's very much like on the nose of just like, let me tell you the story of, you know, the Babadook. where in some cases it's like, you know, hey, like, let's just have a conversation about this, and it works really well. We kind of picked up in this episode where we had like our conversations with the people before we went along with Hysilens. We saw Aggie and Treby, for example. Unbelievably sweet to see them, but of course it's not our Aggie and Treby. One of the things I noticed about Aglaya right just there and then, and it's not by accident, she's way more cheerful. She's way more upbeat. And it's probably because she doesn't have the same pressure and weight that's on her shoulders as she always did. She's not, as we said, carrying a corpse to the finish line of the Flame Chase journey. She is just being Aglaya and being herself, it feels like, in some ways. During this conversation, Treby references to us the idea of the prophecy. And she says that Ornyx gave us the prophecy this time. And the prophecy is not only about Stell coming down like I think it's like a silver-haired or gray-haired hero with a mace to come from beyond the stars, but it also talks about the true starry skies. And now, because they've talked about this prophecy for a while, it's made this seem more real to Cerydra. And what's so interesting, later on we see with Lygus, like, it kind of like solidified Lygus's words too, because Lygus was like, hey, she's gonna come here and she's gonna wanna know about the Law Titan Core Flame. So he was able to kind of utilize the knowledge he had to kind of like sway the opinion of Cerydra, which we don't know her final decision, but we do know what she wants to go beyond the stars. We know that for sure. But there was this kind of like moment where she was kind of like thinking away, where Lygus made a good play here to be like, oh, I know what's going to happen. I know Stell's going to show up here, so I can use it to my advantage. And we still have this idea as well, and even Serene said that there's a possibility that like Lygus is pulling the strings even now and changing the world around us, which again makes Lygus a very dangerous character. I feel like it's so interesting to have Lygus as a character where we know he's dangerous, but it also feels like at all times that he could be anywhere at any point in time. There's people who are kind of for Cerydra, and there's people who are against Cerydra, right? And what she did with the whole Council of Elders stuff. Because we found out that, like, say, characters like Seneca, I think it's Seneca, is against what happened, or what she's doing, while there's other characters like that big soldier who's, like, all for it, right? All for it. And that shows that there is a kind of, like, a different, opinions in this place where, like, there's kind of, like, some people are so for what Cerydra's campaign is doing, and people are just kind of thinking she's a tyrant in some ways as well. They talk about someone who knows more about stuff from beyond the sky. I'm starting to think that could be Lygus, right? The Lord that knows stuff from beyond the sky as well. And again, there's like hints of Lygus's footprints everywhere. We're going to talk a lot about like my feelings on like the whole tyrant versus the dictator type thing. We're going to talk about all that in this video, or this post discussion, hopefully. To give like some, and we can talk about maybe even now when we heard about the idea of like after this, or I think it was before this, I forget which order we talked to them in. We talked about the murder of the murder of the Council of Elders, or the execution, where the Council of Elders are basically like at the bottom of a lake now. And the way that this was described to us is such a very scary and dangerous way of describing things, where they talk about Okhema being like the capital of this whole world now. It's consolidated. They have this alliance between all nations. And they say stuff like, those who are loyal have nothing to worry about, right? If you are loyal to Cerydra, you don't have to think about consequences, right? All the elders were killed because they were not loyal and they interfered. And that's such an interesting and scary way to phrase it, because that's the same thing as saying like, you're my best friend, buddy. You don't have to worry about me ever beating you up because we're buddies. And as long as you're nice to me, you never have to worry about a thing. That is saying, in no uncertain terms, if you are not nice to me, I'm going to beat you up. In this case, it's like, you can have your own opinions, but as soon as they go against anything that we want and you're not loyal to Cerydra, there's a possibility, at least in the perception of these characters, that you'll end up at the bottom of the lake. And they don't see an issue with that because they're saying, well, just be loyal. Just fall in line. Just be that person that needs to fall in line. And it's so interesting to me as well, because I'm like, in terms of like the moral discussions of this, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm just like sweeping, or if I'm going one side or the other here. I want to get into like as much as we can here as we go forward. We'll talk about all this as we go forward as well. But for me, it's one of those things where like, in our time, if it was the cleaners who are at the bottom of the lake, we would have been like, yes, because they are evil, right? When Kindness died, I cheered, right? In this timeline, cheered. I will not apologize for that whatsoever, right? But now there's kind of like a rebellion against the Chrysos heirs and Cerydra. But would you guys agree that it feels different this time? Because Aglaya was someone who genuinely like wasn't actually doing anything like that felt like bad. But I would say that like if there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm not judging Cerydra. I'm saying that we have to keep an open heart and open mind at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Where I have my heart open, where I can understand where Cerydra's coming from. And we can listen to her and understand why she's doing this and why she has to, like, in her eyes, maybe why she really feels like she needs to be this dominating force that's, you know, forcing armies to join with her, taking money off these different nations so they can help with this army fight Vagusa, whether people like it or not, execute all the Council of Elders, all this stuff as well. Because as I said, I think the Council of Elders in our timeline ranged from clueless, dumb, bad guy, and evil, right? And I'm saying I don't think that... I remember when I wrote my thesis in college, I said something that I still agree with that guy who wrote that thesis, Calvin, that not understanding something doesn't mean you're not complicit in something, right? And just because the people in the Council of Elders didn't know what was happening doesn't mean that they can't be blamed for the stuff that was happening with kindness, right? They supported this character who was clearly, like, you know, had very bad aims. But what I'm trying to say is, like, if it came down to where Final was like, let's just kill all the members of the Council of the Elders, right? I'd be like, there's some Council of Elder members that are probably, like, not trying to... that just want to return to a time where they're not scared, right? 100%. Even though we disagree completely with the idea of, like, return to the aristocracy where we could keep our doors unlocked and we could, like, we all loved our neighbor, that type of stuff. It's not that I, like... And the reason I disagree with that stuff sometimes, by the way, is because, like, you can't turn back the clock on certain stuff. You can stop horrible things from happening in the future, but anything that's happened has already happened. And sometimes when people are like, I want to go back to a different time, they just mean, like, I want to go back to a time when I was happy, right? When in reality, other people have life better now, or maybe they're still suffering for other people in those times. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to say. So it's one of those things where, like, I need to know more context of, like, what the Council of Elders is doing in this timeline. I know Kindness is evil, right? I know she's evil. I know she's always been evil. I know the Cleaners are evil. But I know people are going to say, Calvin, you need more context to a bunch of bodies being at the bottom of a lake. What I'm saying is, I think this is fair. I'm going to judge everything as I often do. I'm going to love everything as I often do. Not everything. I'm going to love what I need to love as I often do. I'm leaving my heart open for Cerydra to explain. And I'm leaving my mind open for Cerydra to also be condemned. Does that make sense? I think it's fair. I think it's more than fair. Because we've had stories before where, like, a character, when I meet them first and I'm like, I don't know about this character. And then over time we're like, oh, I get it. Right? Now, the issue is, it's not just a complicated issue. It's an issue where, like, as I said, there's no smoke without fire. I'm not trying to sit here and be like, this is why someone could be autocratic. This is why someone could be, like, you know, be very forceful. I think it's one of those things where when someone comes to me and says, she will kill you for saying stuff against you, right? She had the leader of, I forget what the land's called. Hopefully I'll be able to remember later. But she had someone executed in this episode we had. So it's one of those situations where I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, like, oh, like, poor Cerydra or something like that. I'm saying that, like, I want to know how she got to this place, if that makes sense. I want to know how she got to a place where, like, she is, like, doesn't take no for an answer, very forceful, autocratic, my way or the highway, executions, destroying people, publicly executing people. Like, this stuff, I want to be clear, this stuff, like, isn't, like, considered to be, like, good, right? Like, we can't just sit here and be like, oh, killing, like, people, like, this, like, much is, like, not a good thing. If you disagree with me, you die, right? Now, they were a rebel, but again, I want to, like, know the context of the rebels, right? I want to know the context, because again, at our time when people were rebelling against Aglaya, it was like, oh, these guys suck. These guys suck. But again, we need to know more, because every timeline's going to be kind of, like, slightly different. Every kind of, like, world is going to be slightly different. Every era is going to be slightly different. So I want to, like, know more. I hope that makes sense. Where it's like, I don't support the murder of people who, who just say, hey, I don't agree with this Cerydra, you know. But I would also, like, know that since it's Honkai Star Rail, down the line, it could be a situation where one of these characters actually was doing something really harmful, or was spreading something that was almost unbelievably harmful, that was, like, hurting people. We don't know. It's Honkai Star Rail. They will open the story up as we go forward. And what I'm saying is, like, there are people out there who obviously are dangerous to society, even with their own freaking words. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where, like, I'm holding my heart open and my mind open at the same time. I hope that makes sense. And you guys know I would never sweep anything under the rug when it comes to tyrants, rebellions, all this stuff. You guys know I'm very, very big supporter of rebellions. But it's also just weird because we come from our perspective of our timeline where like people who were against the Chrysos heirs were genuinely bad. They were bad people. So it's kind of tainting my mind a little bit where I'm like, are these guys bad people as well? Are these guys working with the cleaners as well? And I want to find out exactly what's happening there. Because from Cerydra's perspective, she said that like they killed one of her scouts. So that means that's a direct action of murder. If she thinks these people killed her scouts, that means they are actively doing something to harm the Chrysos heirs or the Flame Chase journey or whatever it is, right? So that's why I'm trying to leave it open. I hope that makes sense. Where I'm like, I'm not going to support the mass killing of like, you know, anyone. For me, it's always been, and you guys know this, like, I've always been very much like about the why of every situation, even if that sounds kind of like strange sometimes. It's never going to be a thing where like, you guys know I'm very like pro-rebellion and anti like, you know, tyrants and all this stuff as well. But I still want to learn the story in a lot of cases when it comes to these characters. Obviously, there's like differences because sometimes I don't just want characters gone just to be, you know, because I don't like them. But like in this case, it's one of those things where like we're not going to ever ignore horrible things characters do, but I definitely want to know like where like this idea came from of like how do they get to this stage all the time, you know? You know, I cheer for the death of kindness. I'm not some perfect person, you know what I mean? But yeah, we hear about the murder of like the Council of Elders and all this stuff as well. But then also like we hear people from like all different countries and different lands. They all talk about like what they think about Cerydra. They compare the idea of like their own suffering to the suffering of the Chrysos heirs. They talk about how like they feel like Cerydra only cares about the Chrysos heirs and not them. Again, this is what I'm talking about. It's like, this is horrible if this is true. If Cerydra only cares about these guys, then that's horrible, right? If she only cares about the Chrysos heirs, that's the opposite of Aglaya, where Aglaya literally cared about everyone. Aglaya cared about every living soul on Amphoreus. And that's like a big kind of like difference there. But then that's what they feel. But who am I to doubt them as well in that situation? It's just one of those things where like, that's really dark if that's the case. That is really dark if that's the case. But yeah, like it's one of those things where like we hear like the idea of like how there was 3 cannons aimed at Dawncloud, and she said, Hysilens said history will repeat itself in some way. Cerydra shows up, and in this moment you kind of see her power and her strength and her dominating stature. She talks about how, like, again, her scout was killed, how she conquered the Law Titan. She's pointing the finger at the people from the other land as well, which makes it seem like they're trying to like rebel. Maybe the rebels are like actually actively killing people from her group as well. It's hard to know exactly what's going on, right? 110%. And it seems like she sees this as a challenge against the unity of her alliance. She sees this as them trying to ruin the unity that she's made with her alliance. And she tells them she's basically going to send them to the Temple of Three Fates for protection. This to me, again, is terrifying. And that's why, I hope you understand, that's why I'm never going to like fully support Cerydra yet in this sense, because it's like sending a bunch of people for protection to me sounds like the idea of like, you're gone, you're dead, right? To me, it's like either you're going to be kept away until the War of Fagus is over or you're dead. They see it as a trap, right? She says also as well, like when they said they were trying to pray to like the Law Titan and Kepeli, and she said something really cool as well, which is like, I pray not to the vanquished, because that's her whole personality. She genuinely wants to like go beyond the stars. She wants to get out of here, right? And that to me is like a really big part of her whole personality. It seems that she's obsessed with the idea of going beyond her own world, and we talk about it later, but like, it kind of makes sense why you would be obsessed with something like that, because if you worshipped a god for your whole entire life and then you found out there was more gods beyond your own god, your curiosity would take over, right? She wants to fight against Fagusa. And the guy who gets executed, by the way, brings up ancient laws. And she says that, like, you don't care about ancient laws because you also killed the elders as well. So it's not just like these people aren't like associated with the elders, it seems, but they are like, had no problem killing the elders. So that's what's so weird to me as well, where it's like these people that are like rebelling against Cerydra also had a hand in the murder of people too. Like there is definitely like a situation where there is like other bad people on the other side, but of course like that's not me excusing like any of these situations here. It's just like definitely like, again, learning more about what's happening here is going to be so interesting. They're killing the Council of Elders as well. It's like, you have your hands dirty too, bro. You know, if you put your hand in the flames, you get burnt. It's kind of your own fault at that stage. You know what I mean? For sure. Yeah. And she also says something really like, again, this is why she's really well written. She says, if you worship the old laws, then worship the core flame that's in my hand then, you know? She talks about how armies and taxes, there's going to be taxes and armies that are given to them. She says, we're going to be, you know, helping out with this. She points us out in the crowd. And, like, it's so interesting because in these moments in stories, you'd have us be cheered, right? You'd have us be like, oh my God, there they are. They're going to be amazing. And then it's so interesting that we just get chatter of like, what, like everyone talking amongst themselves because they're worried, they're scared. And one of the delegates says, what you're doing to our people is a sacrifice from beyond the sky. And here's the thing, I want to say this too. This guy clearly is not a good guy. If he also was involved in the murder of all the Council of Elders, it's clear that he has his own personal agenda too, right? If that's what they're saying. But also, I don't think he should be punished for saying, my men aren't going to join your army, right? That shouldn't be a punishment, in my opinion. Protecting your own people from going and joining a war is perfectly reasonable, in my opinion. So it's one of those things where, like, you know, as Hysilens says, if you don't cross a boundary, you're going to be okay. But is the boundary speaking up to the point that you might influence other people? You know what I mean? That's kind of like a way it might look as well. He even like says, like, you know, about the idea of the belief beyond the people of the stuff beyond the sky, which means that the people who are rebelling are wrong. There is a place beyond the sky, but they don't believe it because they obviously want to like remain in the era of Chrysia, which is like, you know, Titans. Well, era of Chrysia is a time before the Flame Chase journey, right? Yeah, it is. Yeah. They believe in all this stuff. There's a really interesting conversation between us and Cerydra, where we talk about the idea of, like, you know, going after Fagusa. She asks us what we need, right? While also talking about the idea of, like, how she doesn't care about this world's powers anymore. She wants to go beyond the skies. She thinks, in plain English, she says, our journey should no longer be here. It should be beyond the skies. It's so interesting because, like, she says now because her world is so open and so new and so fresh, she hasn't been executing, like, people like us like she used to, which means, again, that's the thing where I have to say, like, it's like, with Cerydra, that's so autocratic to be like, and I know it's like, oh, you're coveting the core flame, you have to kind of be killed, but I think there's a difference between someone saying, like, hey, can I have that core flame versus, because that's like asking for it versus like coveting it would be someone trying to attack her, which if you killed them when they attacked her, that'd be totally okay too. But basically what she wants to do is kill Fagusa so the way to the Vortex of Genesis will not be blocked and she can ascend then. She tells us, like, even like we're her subjects in this moment here. We're like not even like her companions. We will be her subjects in this moment. And she seems very susceptible and very like accepting of this, but it doesn't seem like she's just like she was with Lygus. I feel like she was very vague. Like she sounded very like in both terms when she's talking to Lygus and talking to us. She sounded like she accepted our offers. But she's also very vague in a sense where it was like, did she accept her offers? Did she actually accept us? But yeah, she allows us to move around the town freely, which means we're actually still being watched as we're moving around. You see that once again, there is this feeling of like, we're free, but not really, you know? Lygus and her have a conversation as well. And he revealed, obviously, as I said earlier, that like he said Stell would show up. So now that Stell is here, it gives more weight to what he said. He says something, as I said, that's so interesting, and it's why I think Lygus is so interesting to me, is like, he's like, Stell is at odds with Amphoreus. To Lygus, that is not a lie, right? For us, we are trying to help this world. We're trying to help everyone survive. But to Lygus, that's true, right? It's the idea of like, when a tyrant says like, oh, these rebels are scumbags, right? In his mind, he's not lying. He's wrong, but he's not lying. You know what I mean? When the English government and queen and king and all this called my people terror blank is they were wrong, but in their heads they weren't lying, if that makes sense. You know, they weren't lying because they truly believed that, is what I'm saying. Some of them truly believed it. He wants to slay the creator, let her wield Iron Tomb, and bring war to the world, gaining allegiance from the entire world. But all she has to do is sacrifice her humanity. I don't know what this means by sacrificing humanity. Maybe it's just like, hey, whatever, like, you know, you not whatever, but like you will have to destroy parts of yourself to be able to destroy the entire world. And I wonder maybe it's her merging with Iron Tomb. Who knows? Because we already know Finance merged with Iron Tomb. And this conversation is so interesting once again because you see like Lygus is so manipulative, but I have a little bit of faith in Cerydra that I think Cerydra is not going to bite it as much. I think she kept it vague when she said, I forget what the actual quote was, but she was like, I'm going to, my decision is to go across the stars, right? That could, to me, that literally means that she's saying to Lygus, like, I made my mind up, but like, I could go with Cell as well. She was kind of vague with us. I feel like she was vague with him as well in some ways too. We have a bunch of scenes in between this, but the important scene after this was like when we saw Hysilens in the bath, and this is just a magical scene for like numerous different reasons. At first I was like, oh, I'm sorry we walked in on you, but like, I think it's so interesting how instantly she makes us feel comfortable around her. Her confidence, she's more comfortable, as she says, naked because she doesn't think clothes, she thinks clothes are restrictive. And we find out that's because she used to live in a, like the sea, right? Where she believed that was like true freedom. We found out she killed the dude from the Alliance meeting. That's what she's doing. She's washing blood off herself. And guys, here's the thing. I know this is like terrifying, but it's such a beautiful scene, just like in terms of like artwork, and then also like this, in terms of like interest in story writing, having like a character talk to us from the bath as she's washing off the blood of a person she just executed, as we hear the screams of people as they find the body, and she's not even moving. Even if this is terrifying, I'm not gonna lie and say this doesn't make me want to learn more about this character. I'm like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this is like interesting as heck. It draws you to this character. Even though, again, it's one of those things where like we can sit here and be like, oh, that's like horrible, it's terrible, all those things, right? But you can't deny that her presence is alluring in a very story-driven way, right? For sure, that makes you like want to be drawn into to more of her character. And she says this because the reason why she executed him is because she has a lack of tolerance for like stagnant blood. And she's talking about the idea of bloodletting in this world too. Stagnant blood is, to her, blood that's not moving forward. They are moving towards this journey now. No matter what, they're moving towards the sky. And you can feel that with Hysilens and with Cerydra. They are like very forward-thinking in that sense, where nothing is going to stop them. They have no qualms about doing anything to stop anyone that's trying to stop them. They are trying to get to the outside as well. She also says in this conversation that we can think, but we can't interfere. She said, I can't police your thoughts, you know what I mean? But Cyrene even says to her, like, there's no joy in you right now. And you can see her face change. She said she's tasted ultimate freedom, which was the ocean, where fish would feed on other fish and recycle like that as well. And she believes the idea of true freedom is truly a cruelty, because she believes the law should be in place to keep people safe and keep people having a better life. And there's arguments to be made for the idea of like true freedom is terrifying and is bad, right? But I think people deserve to be free to do what they want within the confines of a lot of laws. Some laws are dumb, right? Of course, like say like in Ireland, like you weren't allowed to divorce your husband until like 1993 or something. Of course, that's a dumb law. That's stupid. Women weren't allowed to vote until they were 30 up until a certain point in Ireland as well. That's a dumb law. Like there's dumb laws. But I'm talking about the laws that keep people safe. Like, hey, don't kill people. Don't hurt people. Don't steal from people. Obviously, you can steal from a big store. I don't care. Like, you know, if I see you stealing in Walmart, guys, just so you know, I'm going to make a distraction for you. I'm going to bring my Batman cloak with me. Start waving it really fast. But yeah, there's... It really does feel like it's one of those things where, like, yeah, it's not wrong to say that, like, the idea of pure freedom is dangerous. I think the majority of people wouldn't kill people regardless if there's laws or not, because there's a feeling of, like, oh, that person's gone now, that life is gone for the world. But the idea of, like, those laws that are trying to protect us are to protect the people who would even have a thought of doing something bad, you know? That doesn't stop people from doing stuff bad, but I do think it is one of those things where, like, she's not wrong in saying that, like true freedom can be terrifying, but the way she's kind of phrasing it, in my views, is kind of like from a point of trauma, right? She doesn't want to go back to that. She doesn't want to see people go back to that either. She wants to be guided down the right path and people to be guided on the right path. And I think that's such an interesting character trait, to have someone who, let's be honest here, doesn't want to see people suffer and doesn't want to see cruelty happen. But you could argue that, like, her cutting down somebody for speaking their mind is cruelty. But I do think it's one of those situations where you could argue that, like, true cruelty would be killing someone for trying to speak their mind, right? But I think, as I said throughout this whole episode as well, guys, Hysilens is the I'm gonna say it, for me personally, top 3 Hoyo design ever. As I said, the black lace, the fish tank on the chest, the hair is beautiful, the scales on the face, the really awesome shoes, the awesome tights, the lace arms. I cannot wait to see her on the battlefield. I cannot wait. She's incredible. And also, as I said, both Cerydra and Hysilens, as I said, we're waiting for like judgment on like their character and their full personalities, because again, we don't know them yet. We don't know all the situations that are happening. We don't know like what the rebels are doing, if the rebels are good or not good. But I know they're not good for sure. By the way, I'll make that clear. If you're against the Chrysos Heirs, usually like it's something, especially from our timeline, you're probably working with the cleaners. That's bad, right? For sure. If Kindness was working with the cleaners, yeah, 100%. So I hope you understand what I'm saying, where I'm not like passing this big massive judgment on this world yet, but I'm also going to be always passing judgment on individual actions. Yeah, you could say I'm like hyping up Hysilens a lot, even though like they probably did something that wasn't like the nicest thing in the world to do with that execution, of course. But it's also like a thing where I want to learn more about these characters. I always do. And I want to learn more about their motivations, always. And try and judge them on the basis of their actions going forward, the basis of their actions now, and then once we finally get to the point where we have a full picture of them, then we can go, okay, this is how I fully feel about Cerydra and Hysilens. Does that make sense? I think it's the best way to go about it. It's always the best way to go about it when it comes to characters like this that are very dangerous. Let's just be honest here. But it's such an interesting scene, such a beautiful scene. Loved her talking to a Glai afterwards as well, because it shows like how much of like a relationship they had as well, which is really, really sweet too. Herta then talks to us afterwards, and she kind of knows everything. She says Lygus is related to the Genius Society, either from the Lord of Silence or Rupert, but she believes that we can handle it. And that's a really great form of like encouragement. The fact that like she's like, you know, hey, you can do this is great. It's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, Lygus is related to Genius Society, probably created by Rupert or the Lord of Silence. I also think what's really, really incredible about all of this too is that we have a brand new host of characters and a new world, and we're old characters that we're getting to know as well over time too. Lygus is still going around. Like that's why like there's so many elements here, right? Cerydra and Hysilens, amazingly, beautifully designed characters. So interesting. They draw you in. I want to know more about them. I want to talk to those characters every minute of the day. I really do. I want to talk to them all the freaking time. Lygus is going on in the background. We have that anxiety of where he's going to strike next. What's he going to do? Herta and Skrullum are working in the background. We know that stuff like Don Hung is heading back, of course, and also we haven't gotten contact with Welt and Himiko yet. We know March is still here on Amphoreus as well. We know that there's now a battle coming up where we're going to be going to fight Fagusa. There's so many different elements here within this story that there's drama. There's like drawing us into knowing more characters, thinking about characters we already met, worried about our characters that we know already. This game is really good at like creating all those elements and putting them together to where it feels like kind of like I'm enamored by everything that's going on. Absolutely enamored, if that makes sense. It's really fantastic. It's a really, really fantastic way of doing things. And like I said, the most exciting thing for me is Hysilens, Cerydra. I want to talk to them more. If they could give me 10 hours just like a story quest of both of them, it'd be fantastic, guys. It'd really, really fantastic. Cerydra's design is fantastic too, by the way. I want to make clear, I'm commenting Hysilens' design all the time, but Cerydra, as I said, feels like a Yu-Gi-Oh villain, like in the best way possible. But yeah, guys, if you want to see these videos early, you can watch them on YouTube members or on Patreon for €1 or whatever it is in your currency. And if you want your name going across in the text credits, that's €10 or whatever it is in your currency on YouTube members or on Patreon. And if you want your name read out as a shout out at the end of a video, that is €15 or whatever it is in your currency. And I'm going to shout out the patrons first by saying Typharo 2, Jamie Bull, Johnny the Banana, The Ghost of Inazuma, Felicious Felix, Yuld, Anusta, Yasassin, True Peanut Butter, Peter Shelson, Leon, High Kasperian, Jerabinum, Neo Showrite, Leah 200, Malcolm Kunde, and at the highest tier of my YouTube, Royal Gamer 7, Blasco, and Usanagi. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.